Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucs. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. And as always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby. To quote the great Cody Rhodes, so, what do you want to talk about? I think we all know. SOUTHFLORIDA, South Florida. How about those Bulls? Unbelievable. We are going to talk a ton of USF football today. A huge win over Boise State, the number 25 team in the country, 34-7. No moral victories needed. No silver linings needed. And shout out to our guy, Robert Cochran from Oklahoma City. He was all over this. How long is it going to take for Robert to comment in the chat here and try to get on the program today? What's the over-under on 5 minutes? He was hitting me up last night about, I'm calling in tomorrow. It's 12:01 right now. Before 12:05 or after 12:05? What do you guys think? How long is it going to take for our guy, Robert Cochran, to hit us up from Oklahoma City? Because he wants to be on this show. No doubt about it. Welcome to the Recher podcast. What a show. I cannot believe. And listen, not many people were talking about this game yesterday, right? And you saw it on social media as the game started going on and progressed, and as they were continuing to kick that ass. Then you started seeing more and more people here in the Tampa Bay area take notice. But just remember that we're talking about all Tampa Bay sports. We're here before the wave comes. Don't you forget that. Follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well. A ton of talk about the USF win yesterday. Steve Carney joins us at 12:30. Former USF Bull himself. We're going to talk about his perspective on the win, as well as where it all went wrong for the Tampa Bay Rays this year. Seth Varnador joins us at 1 o'clock today on the program. And Seth from Bay Area Examiner, he was there in the building last night. What does he think about the win, and also what they have to do to be successful up in Gainesville next week against the Florida Gators? And then at 2 o'clock today, our good friend Jordyn Listro, the captain of our Tampa Bay Sun, she's going to join us on the program as well. But a lot of talk about USF, a lot of talk about the college football slate. Week one of college football. Looks like the Rowdies have added another midfielder on loan, Paul Marie from the San Jose Earthquake. So they're in action this weekend. We'll get into that as well. Let's get to some of these comments. And of course, I want to hear from you guys. Questions, comments, concerns. If you guys want to chime in on the conversation, call in. Big Bulls fans that you are. Here's the link right there in the chat. Here we go. There you go. StreamYard.com/4HIIRCP5ID. Click on that chat right there click on that link in the chat. You can join whether you're on the phone, whether you're on the laptop. I want to hear from you. What did you think of the Bulls' victory last night? Benny, Carlos, they're happy as hell today. Connor's Music Company, Greg DeCruz, happy Bullish Friday. You got that right, my friend. We're getting Gold Bulls from everywhere. Ryan and Richie P. Greg's telling us, Byron Brown. More on him in a second. David Terry, his last day in the DR. We'll welcome you back here as soon as you get back. Dimitri Brunel is in the house. One of our favorites, Janet Best. Dolan G, what up, Jay? And everyone, happy Friday. Great statement for the Bulls. And Dallas owner, I know. Crazy trade there. He trades Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers, 26 years old. Nothing surprises me anymore with him. Last day there, fake punt was borderline Trojan horse type move. You got that right, buddy. Best win since Notre Dame in 2011. And shout out our guy, Bart Hill. Smash that like button. As our guy David Terry says, if you can contribute via the Super chat, $1, $2, $5, $10, $20, whatever you can do, guys, to contribute to the show. That's what's going to keep this show rolling, just like our sponsors and our main one right here. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, 813-244-0956. Scan that QR code right there. They can help you out with all your residential and commercial needs. More from the Honest Hammer. He gave me a gift yesterday. We're going to reveal it later on the show, something that I've never gotten before, and I was just thinking about it too. I got a post being at the job site yesterday. It was badass. And, oh, look at David Terry, $10. Guys, every little bit helps, man. Every little bit helps. David Terry, thank you. You're always there for me, buddy. Again, $1, $2, $5, $10, $20, whatever you can do. We're also going to start some memberships for the Jay Recher podcast. So a membership where you can pay monthly. We'll have a silver package and a gold package. It's only going to be like $5 a month or $10 a month. And with that membership, you're going to be able to get special chats just for our members only, special interviews, some one-on-ones, some certain social media content that you're going to get before everybody else. So our memberships are going to be starting soon. We're just getting that locked in with YouTube, and then we'll go from there. So we're going to continue the ball rolling right here on the Jay Recher podcast. All right, let's hear it, guys. You were there, or you watched the game last night. USF with a 34-7 victory over Boise State. And listen, I said this yesterday on the show very passionately about last night. And I said, no more moral victories. No more, oh, well, we gave it the good old college try. You got to make sure that you go out there and go win this game. Go win this game. I don't want to hear anything else of like, oh, we were close or we played hard for 4 quarters. And I had to ask Coach Alex Golesh this question because you guys know as well as I do. Him and I have had this conversation for a while. So, last night, no moral victories, no silver linings. You actually went out there and you won the game. So you bet your bottom dollar that when I had the opportunity to ask Coach Alex Golesh about that, I did so. So make sure you bump up the volume. And here's what Coach Alex Golesh had to say when I asked him about that.
Does the last couple of years about not believing in silver linings and moral victories. What does not just the win, but how you won say about your group? And also how do you kind of carry that over to next week to kind of just put this behind you and focus on the next game ahead?
Yeah, I think you know the answer you're going to get. I think leading up to this, we weren't perfect, but I thought our focus, our intent, our attention to detail was really, really good. And so that resulted in a win tonight. I think we're going to go back and point to the positives in our prep, in our process, which, like I've said all along, just gives you a chance. And to be honest with you, this handling success part is the part that we've not done a great job at. And that's what I challenged the guys tonight. We're going to have to challenge them again tomorrow. Winners act a certain way. Elite football teams act a certain way. That's another step to have to learn in terms of how to now put it behind you, clean it up, take the hard coaching, trust your inner circle, which is your coaches, your teammates, take the hard coaching, celebrate the win tonight, learn from the positive, from the negative, and again, just go right back to what does our process look like? Again, unique. We got an extra 2 days here. So going into the Florida game, they play Saturday. We got a couple extra days here. We're going to need it. That was a physical game. We're going to need it. And then turn the page and literally forget about it. Keep it moving. Because you can't. If you go celebrate this thing for more than, let's call it 12 hours, you're going to jack up the next one. And the next one's really, really big too.
So there you have it. I had to ask. And I love the response. And one thing that I was able to glean from listening to him and quarterback Byron Brown, and these guys were ready for this game in January. There's that belief that they have. And you wonder, right? You wonder, are they going to be able to step up to the table? Are they going to be able to put their money where their mouth is? Put up or shut up. That was what I was saying yesterday. And that's exactly what they did. They go down 7-0. and they score 34 unanswered points to rout the number 25 team in the country. They didn't just beat them. They beat the brakes off of Boise State last night. I haven't seen something like that in a very long time. Not since Quentin Flowers was playing quarterback for Willie Taggart and this USF team. What a performance from Coach Alex Golesh, from Byron Brown, and the defense. My goodness. The defense, led by Mac Harris, led by Jalen Schuler. Jalen Schuler had 14 total tackles last night. How about Sean Rucker with 11? Then you had Ward with 8, Harris with 8, Duclona with 6. No, it was like 92 tackles. These guys were flying to the football last night. Singleton with a couple of fumble recoveries. They were opportunistic. Listen, they could have came away with a couple of interceptions too. I thought they dominated this game. You could not be more proud if you're a USF fan today. Unbelievable. Hammer was there. Such an electric game last night. Super fun to be there for my alma mater. Hammer is in the house. Joseph Brennan, last night was the most fun I've had in a game in over a decade. Schuler was a beast. There was a couple of things that really went into why and how they won this game. And I asked Coach about this. I'm not going to play the video, but I asked Coach about this yesterday too. They go down 7-0 and they don't freak out. They drive, and what happens? They line up for a field goal, 52-yarder. Our guy, Nico Gramatica, and he nails it. 52-yarder. I've seen a lot of NFL guys miss 50-yard field goals at Raymond James Stadium. Nico, cool, calm, and collected. Unbelievable. And if you were at the game, I don't know if you could tell if you're watching this on TV, but when Nico Gramatica gets announced at Raymond James Stadium, he gets applause, like a loud applause. And of course, I know a lot of that has to do with his dad. But it's just really cool. Like you don't see that very often. Like I don't know if Chase McLaughlin gets applauded like that at Ray J, but we love Nico, right? We love Martine. Incredible, and he's able to knock it down. And the roar that came from the fans after that kick, it was like, all right, you're down 7-3, but there was a lot of confidence, And then Byram goes to work. You could tell early on. Coach was trying to, take it easy, making sure that he gets the ball out of his hands. There was a lot of screens early. Hey, let's keep it. Let's try to complete some easy passes, get him into a rhythm. And then Byram goes to the sideline. He goes, Coach, I want to run the football. I asked him about it. He goes, I wanted to feel a physicality. I wanted to get hit. And my God, let me tell you, when you're around guys, you don't realize how big certain guys are until you're around them, right? Vita Vea is a great example. Victor Hedman's a great example. Like, these guys are just big dudes. They're not normal. Byron Brown looks like a freaking monster. He looks like a dude that can be in the WWE one day. No, like he was always a taller kid, but he has put on some serious weight. And I'm talking grown man weight. This dude is a problem. And there was just a simple run yesterday when he just ran over one of the Boise State defenders. And it was only like a 4-yard gain, but it drew oohs and ahs from the crowd. People were going crazy on the sideline. Hell, the best run he had last night was the touchdown that got called back for an iffy holding penalty. Byron put this team on his back, and that's what he needed to do. He needed to show everybody, hey, I'm one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. This is the conversation we were having with Coach Golesh last year in the beginning of the year. He thought Byron was one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And it was like, all right, time to go out and show. Be more accurate with the football. Now, 16 of 24, 210, maybe a little, no touchdowns, maybe get a little bit better there. It's only the first game, but running the football. My God. 14 carries for 43, 2 touchdowns, the 23-yard rush. I mean, this dude, he led this team from the front. So you're up 10-7. You're feeling pretty good going into the half. And then one of the biggest plays of the night, one of the most iconic plays in the history of USF football. Listen, I don't think I'm overstating that. For as long as you are a USF fan, you are always going to remember that fake punt for a touchdown from Lachlan Hewlett to Keyshawn Singleton. You're going to remember that forever because of when it happened, who it happened against. It was the first game of the season. All eyes on this game. 5:30 kickoff against the number 25 ranked team in the country, Boise State. And you get Lachlan Hewlett, a freshman quarterback, attempting his first pass in college. And it's a strike to Keyshawn. And then what happens? Boom. He runs it in. Incredible strength and I love what you saw from Singleton and Nimrod last night. When they caught the passes, they didn't go down easily. These are tough guys. And we were wondering, all right, who's going to be that safety blanket? Who's going to be that guy that's going to be able to step up in the absence of Sean Atkins? And Singleton and Nimrod stepped up big time. I love what I saw from those guys. 45-yard touchdown pass on a fake punt from Lachlan Hewlett to Keyshawn Singleton, and then the rest really is history. Byron Brown with a 15-yard rushing touchdown. Like Norton with an 8-yard rush to put the kind of kibosh on everything to make it 31-7. And then Nico adds a touchdown or field goal late, 33 yards, 34-7. It was a complimentary football game. It was one of my most favorite games to watch when it comes to this USF team. And you look at what they were able to do on fourth downs. I think Boise State, if I'm not wrong, were 2 for their first 3, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe 2 for their first 2 on fourth downs, but they missed their last 3 or 4. I don't know, but I know when I saw it was 2 for 4 and they ended 2 for 6. The defensive line did so much better than I think a lot of people thought they would do. They really dominated the inside. And it may not show up on the stat sheet, but when you look at Josh Shelisgar with 2 tackles, half of them for loss, he hit the quarterback twice, right? He did a really good job there. Who was the other guy? Dev Lee was another guy that stepped in. Like these guys were just clogging the middle, and it's something that we really haven't seen. Merrifield stepped in with 4 tackles. Now, if you look at some of the things that they struggled at, I think the interior offensive line was a problem. I think they want to be able to run the football a little bit better. I mean, the numbers aren't as ugly as it was because you had a couple of late runs that kind of, Isaac had a nice long run at the end there for 49 yards. So you finished with a $117, but for the majority of the game, you're hovering around 50, 60 yards, and 43 of them came from Byron Brown. So there still is room for improvement, but you have to be happy with what you saw last night if you're a USF fan. What stood out to me, I mean, as much as we talk about Byron, the defense, I don't recall seeing a defense that was that impactful. I don't recall seeing a defense that was on third down, pumping up the fans, fourth down, because the other team has to punt, like hopping off the field because they're so happy. You see it maybe early on in the first. We're seeing that in the second, the third, the fourth. They dominated that football game. And I'm a true believer that you have to lead from the front. Your best players have to be your best players. All successful teams, your best players have to be your hardest workers. And when you see Mac Harris and when you see Jalen Schuler, those 2 kids look like they got shot out of a cannon. And it's kind of ironic, too, because I look back at Mac Harris and on Twitter yesterday. He committed to the Bulls in June of 2019. Who was the coach in June of 2019? Charlie Strong. Think about how long Mac Harris has been a part of this, how long he's been a part of this program. Mac Harris here at USF, going through the Charlie Strong era, the back end of it, going through whatever the hell was going on with the Jeff Scott era, and now here, landing on Coach Alex Golesh. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than what you saw last night. Well, it does, but I'm just saying, as far as last night goes, I mean, what more could you really ask for? The fans were there. I mean, just shout out to everybody who was there in the building. I mean, it was hot, 5:30. It's a tough time to get there, but you saw everybody from Coach Brian Hodgson to Coach Mitch Hannes. Shane McClanahan was there. So a lot of dignitaries and alumni in the stands today. And I always talk about this with when it comes to the Lightning and now recently when it comes to the Buccaneers. At the very least, you just want to be proud of the team that you're a fan of, right? That's what drives me nuts about like Manchester United and like even the Rays. Like, you know, you're happy about the resiliency when it comes to the Rays, but I mean, like, it's tough, right? It's tough. It's almost like you're apologetic when you're talking about the Rays. But last night was one of those games as a USF fan that you really haven't had many times. You had an opportunity to be proud to be a USF fan, a USF alumni. Look at social media. I wish you guys could go back and check social media at 5:30 and compare it to what you saw at 7:30, because it was nuts. How many people around the country that would never tweet about USF, and they're talking about the smack. And it was that third quarter, really, for me. It was the Will Smith, Chris Rock smack all over it. They smacked the taste out of Boise State's mouth in the third quarter there. What an incredible performance for the Bulls. One of the best that I've seen in my 20 years here. Echoing back again to the Willie Taggart days. We're not going all the way back to the Jim Levitt days, but wow. Now you got to build on it. And we're going to really get into what they have to do to build on it with our guy Seth Varnador from Bay Area Examiner at 1 p.m. And they're turning the page starting today. They are. You enjoy it for about 12 hours, and then you focus on Florida because it's going to be tough. You're going to Gainesville, a hostile territory, playing there in the swamp. This is a game that those kids won't forget. You're going up against DJ Lagway, who saved Billy Napier's job last year. But now, and especially after the conversation we've had the last couple of days, where, I mean, just think about the talk that we've had. If you've been with us all week, if you've been with us the last 2 weeks, one of the big topic of conversations when it comes to USF is what? What are they going to do in these first 3 games? And how does that impact the entire season? Because there's people out there in that rationale of they could lose all 3, but if they win the conference, who cares when it's all said and done? Jim Lighthall brought up a good point the other day of you don't really want to lose those 3 games because then what is your message to this team? It's awfully tough to get these kids to believe, and it's not just to believe what Alex Golesh is saying, but also to believe in themselves. You're 0-3. Now you want to all right, everything's going to be fine. As long as you take care of your conference schedule, easier said than done. Because there's going to be, missteps along the way. It doesn't mean you're going to lose, but you just look at certain things of some games are going to be tougher than others. Conference matchups are difficult. But we had this conversation with Corey Long yesterday, and I've been saying this all week. Enough with the college tries, enough with the silver linings, enough with the moral victories. Alex Golesh is the guy that said that. He was the guy that brought that up. We don't want to think like that. That's a loser's mentality. Okay. This is an opportunity. Thursday night, 5:30 kickoff, number 25 team in the country. All eyes on you. What are you going to do about it? Who's going to step up? Here's who stepped up. Pretty much everybody. And I told you yesterday, if USF was going to win this game, that they were going to be the talk of the town that night and the next day. And look at social media. Look at all over. USF. Even Boise State losing. That's USF. We'll take it. But the fact that those guys were able to step up in the manner that they did, I mean, it's got to make you feel good as a Bulls fan. That's natural progression. Yeah, you want to win these next 2 games. Are they going to be a top 25 team? They could. I mean, you just smoked the 25th team in the country in Boise State. If you're 24 or 25 next week, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility because you didn't just win. You beat the dog crap out of these guys. And this is a venerable program. This isn't one of those teams that, all right, well, they had a good run, good couple of years, blah, blah, blah. No, this is Boise State. And you took them to the woodshed. I'm very, very happy. Very happy. Hammer, with our defense and Lagway being injury prone, he should be scared. Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see what happens. They play LIU tomorrow, but, they're not that great. Hats off to Golesh, and this is from Richie. Hats off to Golesh for stepping up on a tough schedule. MK dropped the challenge, and Golesh accepted it. And one way to go, both MK and Alex Golesh, from somewhere in Annapolis, our guy, Michael Kelly, is smiling. He's happy for our Bulls. And Hammer, again, honestly, I have family in Athens, Georgia, and saw Carson Beck at UGA after Bennett left, and he's trash. We have a chance to beat them too. Listen, the talent of Miami, we saw it last year in the game at Raymond James Stadium. I mean, they're no joke. They're no joke. And I'm not going to slight them because I don't think their quarterback's all that great. But we'll see. I don't want to talk about we're playing with house money right now. I want to talk about, hey, build on it. Build on it. Get better and better. Why not you? Why not you? Win the battle in the trenches. You got to get better on the offensive side of the ball, defensively better, but it only gets tougher these next 2 weeks. Now, before we get to our guy, Steve Carney, I want to bring up one more thing about what happened last night. And if you guys follow me on social media, you know that I do my Recher's Rapid Reaction after every game that I go to. And it's, it's just something different. It's something I've been doing for 5-6 years now. Started at the Lightning games, did it at the Bucks games, I do it at USF games. But last night, for some reason, as I'm walking on the field, there was something that, like, it sounds so dramatic, but like there was something that came over me that just made me say, this ain't the same old South Florida. And I just felt it. I felt Coach Amir Abdur-Rahim's presence at the game last night. As you guys know, got to know him really well over the years. What I said on the show the Friday before or the Friday after he passed, USF did during the celebration of life, because he wasn't just a great coach. He was a great husband and father and mentor and just a great all-around person. And we miss him. And there was just something about last night that you felt he was there. You kept telling yourself, this ain't the same, this ain't the same old South Florida, was ringing in my ears. Now, the crazy part about it is that right around the same time that I said that on the 30-yard line at Raymond James Stadium, Alex Golesh said this inside the USF locker room.
Only around for a year and a half, but he said it before they made the run that they did. I quoted Amir, man, this ain't the same old South Florida anymore. And I truly believe that. Felt his presence tonight in me. I don't know why or how, but that's a special dude that loved our football team and quoted him. So hopefully that sticks with these guys a little bit. I'll open it up to questions.
Bro, like, honestly, I didn't know that. Like, I didn't plan that. Nobody else was saying that before the game. Like, I didn't see people putting that on social media before the end of the game. So it wasn't like, oh, I got this idea. I said it, and I didn't know anybody else was going to say it. And again, I'm not trying to make this all about me. It's not about me. It's just the fact that Amir Abdur-Rahim was there last night. You can't explain shit that happens in life sometimes. It just happens. It's bigger than sports. It's bigger than football. And we learned that through him. Love wins. And the reason why I loved a guy like Amir is because he reminded me of my dad, my grandfather. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Don't do anything else to anybody else you wouldn't want done to yourself. Those type of things. Be early. Show up early. Stay late. Eye contact. Shake people's hands. Nobody has done that in the Tampa Bay area. Nobody. Other than Amir Abdur-Rahim. Not Kevin Cash. Not John Cooper. Not any of the Bucs coaches that I've covered over the years. Not Joe Madden. Not Alex Golesh. Not Mitch Hannes. Not Coach. Nobody. Coach Amir Abdur-Rahim is the only guy that after every single press conference would shake your hand and say, thank you for being here. It's a different cat, man. It's a different cat. And as I go today to the public viewing of our good pal Tony Saladino, that's the type of impact that you want to have on people. You want to have such a profound impact that even after you're gone, your legacy is still being felt. Love wins. USF wins. How about our Bulls? All right, let's keep the conversation going with the perfect guy to talk to, the Almanac, as I like to call him, Esteban Meat, the one and only Steve Carney. What's up, pal?
Hi, Jay. And, it's funny. You had mentioned Amir Abdur-Rahim, and on the USF radio broadcast last night, Joey Johnson had the new head coach of USF basketball, Brian Hodgson, on with him in the third quarter. And he was talking about what they were doing to get ready for basketball season. And he mentioned Amir as well, which I thought was very strange, that there was a lot of feeling of Amir. And this was a game. And, I've been around USF a long, long time. I mean, I go back to, beating West Virginia in front of 57,000 people at Raymond James Stadium and watching them go, oh my God, they're going to tear the goalposts down in this place tonight. This is not going to, the security not enjoying life because they're like, uh-oh. But yeah, this was the first time in a long time that you could look at that South Florida football team and go, we've got something special here. I mean, the last 2 years have been surprising. The first year under Alex Golesh was surprising. The second year, I think, proved that it wasn't a fluke, but this one definitely feels special.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Steve. And listen, we've watched a lot of rough games over the years with this team.
Yeah, can we not talk about them?
But I think you talk about this like with the Rays and the Bucks and the Lightning and just any team that you root for in sports. The sweet times are even sweeter because you know what the depths are. You know how deep those valleys go. And when it was just a couple of years ago, this isn't one of those things where we're looking back at, 20 years ago, they were bad. Like this was less than 5 years ago, where this is one of the worst football teams. Forget about the conference, the entire country. I mean, you're looking at teams that are ranked in the 120s in some of their statistical categories. I mean, to be able to see what USF was able to do last night on the national stage against a top 25 opponent for a guy that's watched as much USF as you have, what did that mean?
Yeah, it meant a lot because, like you said, it wasn't that long ago that, the Bulls were struggling against 1AA teams, the FCS teams. They had a hard time with Richmond, the final year of Jeff Scott's tenure. I mean, this is a group that did not win a conference game for almost 3 years. So it's amazing to think that things can turn around that quickly, but it goes to show you that you get the right pieces in place, starting with the right head coach that knows what he needs in order to make a program successful. And then you get the major pieces to buy into it, whether it's a Sean Atkins, who obviously was part of the previous regime, but bought into Alex Golesh. And then, of course, Byron Brown, who I think everybody was holding their breath the first time he took a hit. I know I was, but once he took that first hit and he lowered the boom on guys, I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. And so it certainly was. And it's amazing to see just what this turnaround has been.
Yeah, now going forward, they're going to have to replicate that performance against Florida and possibly against Miami. But what's your take on this team? As far as the conversation of these 3 games versus the rest of the season, because we've had the whole gamut of, all right, there are certain people that were just like, all right, you're almost predisposed to be like, all right, if they lose all 3, whatever, just win the conference. But now you win one. So do you feel like it's house money, Steve? Do you use this to build? Like, what's your mindset on these first 3? And then also, the schedule following?
Well, I've been saying since the schedule came out that I love the fact that they're playing such a difficult non-conference schedule. I love, I grew up watching, when I was a young adult, much younger than I am now. Pat Hill with Fresno State back in the 90s, who would say, I don't care who it is. You have a hole in your schedule. We'll play you. And we don't care where it is. We don't care what time it is. We don't care what stadium it's at. We don't care if we've got to go across the country. We don't care if we've got to go around the world to do this. We'll play you anytime, any place, anywhere. And I think that that's great for this Bulls team, because now with like last year with Alabama, you got a feeling of where that measuring stick is. A couple of years ago, this team almost beat Florida 31. They lost 31-28 at Raymond James Stadium. Now you've got an opportunity this week to go up against a Florida Gators team at their place. They're not going to be surprised by if the games had been switched and that Lachlan Hewlett pass had happened against the Gators, I think we would be talking about one of the great switcheroos of all time in all college football. Because it was Boise State, I think it gets timed down a little bit, but they're going to be ready for stuff like that, and so will Miami. And so you can't, as Alex said in the post game, this is a week 1 thing. You can't do this week 2 or week 3, because people now figured out, okay, that's not the punter, that's the freshman quarterback. Yeah. I mean, that, I don't know about you, that fooled all of us. I was watching it and I was listening to it on the radio, and it was like, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Ooh, that punter's got an arm. I'm like, oh, that's not the punter.
Yeah, not the punter.
I'm like, we screwed up on that one.
A beautiful thing, man. Unbelievable play. It's a game that people will always remember. That's kind of, you think about the big plays that stand out, right? The 2 touchdown runs from Byron Brown, the big boy football, and then obviously the fake punt for the, it's one thing, it's a fake punt, but when it leads to a touchdown too, that's where it's really going to kind of stick with you. All right, let's talk some Rays baseball, Steve. It's been a rough year for the Rays. Yep. Outside of that one stretch that they had. And listen, I me, man, I'm not like the most, like, I'm more optimistic than pessimistic, but I'm more realistic. I feel like we're at a point with the Rays where they need to do a little bit of a harsh self-evaluation, because for a while it's pitching and defense is our calling card, and I understand that. But it worries me, Steve. You traded away a 24-year-old right-hander in Taj Bradley. Shane Boz's ERA is, you're giving up the booty every single game. Only person that says the word booty more than that is Ronnie Lane. But you used to have a lot. Yeah, you used to have a lot of confidence that the Rays were going to be able to develop these young guys and they were going to be able to flourish. We haven't seen that the last couple of years. What's your take on just the pitching side and where some of it has gone wrong? Because it wasn't one of those years where you lost 4 starters like we've seen in years past, and it was like, all right, you have a bunch of openers. I think Boz has been healthy. Pepio's been healthy. Littell was healthy before he gave up a bunch of home runs, and then traded him. And then you eventually had to move on from Taj. What do you see? What's wrong with the pitching this year?
Most people, when they look at the pitching situation, will look on the mound. I'm actually not going to look on the mound. I'm looking behind the plate, because the catcher is so important in that relationship with the pitching staff. And now this team has 2 new catchers. You look at who they had to begin the year versus who they have right now as their catchers. You start off with Rortvet, you end up having to go get Matt Tice, and then you get rid of both of those guys. And now with Fortes and Fiducia, you've got 2 very young, very inexperienced catchers learning a pitching staff on the fly. And I think that that's a very difficult proposition for a young catcher. I think that this is going to get better once they get a full offseason, they get a full spring training. But you've got 2 really young, and people will mention Travis d'Arnaud. Oh, Travis d'Arnaud came in here and learned a pitching staff on the fly. Travis d'Arnaud was also a established major league catcher with plenty of experience with pitching staffs at the big league level. Nick Fortes has been in Miami. They haven't had much of a pitching staff outside of Sandy Alcantara, and we've seen what Alcantara's been like this year, to begin with. And Fiducia's been stuck in Oklahoma City. It is a lot different handling a AAA pitching staff than it is handling a big league pitching staff. It's going to be very difficult. I think that's where the pill that the Rays have had to swallow has come from. It's not so much. The pitchers themselves have to be accountable for what they've given up. But the catching side of it is a point that a lot of people will overlook. And I think it needs to be focused on at least a little bit.
So what about Danny Jansen? Because obviously he started the season with them. He was the veteran. We heard all these good things about that.
Yeah.
And then they trade him, Steve. So, right. And you trade him when you're kind of like meandering around, you're sniffing around a playoff spot. So why end up trading a guy like that? That's what I don't understand. Like we've always, there's moves that are made over the years and there's always going to be those negative Nellies. There's always going to be those people that don't believe in the Rays because of, they pull Blake Snell. Like they can never get over that type of thing. Yeah. And a lot of times I think Neander does a fantastic job and they do earn the benefit of the doubt. But then there's certain moves that have been made the last 2 seasons where it just because you question a move that Neander makes doesn't mean you think he sucks. Doesn't mean you think they should get rid of him. But
yeah,
I mean, then why get rid of a guy like Danny Jansen? We've seen the impact of veteran catchers the last decade with Wilson Ramos and Mike Zunino and guys like that. Why get rid of a guy like Danny Jansen when you bring him in there? And even though they just look at it and it's like he was struggling too, even behind the plate. Like I didn't get that whole thought process.
Yeah, and at that point, you have to look at the front office and ask the hard question of, did he fit in? There are guys that just don't fit, and my assumption, because I haven't had a chance to ask that difficult question, but I wonder how much of it was a clash of philosophies between what Jansen is used to and what the Rays teach their pitchers coming up through the organization through draft and develop. And if that's a different message than Jansen is used to giving out and he is uncomfortable with it, then obviously you have to move him, especially because you're most likely not going to resign him next year. He's on a 1-year deal. So you're going to let him walk for absolutely nothing anyway. So you might as well get something out of the equation. And even if it's a bag of baseballs and $20 to go to McDonald's, it might be better than just letting him walk away for nothing. And so I'm kind of curious myself as to where the disconnect was between the Rays and Danny Jansen. But to me, it certainly looked like there was one.
Steve, what do you think of Josh Lowe? Because this is a guy that, everybody, I feel like we fall into the trap too much in sports where it's like, well, this 1 year when he was healthy, he was able to do this and he was this and he was that. And it's just like, if you're just giving me 1 year on what a guy has done, I mean, it's tough to think that that's not the exception, right? Like, and everything has to be good. Well, he was hurt and he started the season. It's just like, bro, that doesn't always go. Like Giancarlo Stanton is a guy that he misses so much time, but he comes back, he starts hitting home runs, right? There's other guys around the league where like they come back. Alex Bregman, he misses time, he comes back, he starts balling out again. And I know those are, but like Josh Lowe is a guy that's got all the talent in the world, but it seems like there's a lot of excuses that get made for this guy. And I don't know if he's really as good as the Rays have propped him up to be. And I don't know if he's really a part of this team's future because the inconsistencies are more consistent than the consistencies.
Yeah, it's funny that for years you and I went back and forth with about Brandon Lau. I was the guy that was saying, Brandon Lau has the ability to put this together, but he only had 1 year when he was healthy that he showed it. A year he goes third for 39 and 99. Well, it goes to show that some of those guys really are about that. Can they stay healthy? Brandon Lau is on that side. Josh Lowe, I feel, is on the other edge of the coin, and I think that's where another focus has to go with the front office. I mean, apart from these 2 young players that have come up this year in Simpson and now Carson Williams, the last Rays position player that was drafted and developed with this team was basically Josh Lowe. And so, I mean, because you think about it, Caminero is a trade. Yandy Diaz is a trade. The catchers are both trades. Jake Mangum was a trade. Cameron Meisner was a I believe was a trade. So, all of these guys are all trades. There has not been a lot of draft and develop when it comes to position players. And so, apart from, Josh Lowe basically being the very last of them, you want to try and give him enough rope, but the problem is you give a guy that much rope, usually they end up hanging themselves. And I hate saying that, but you're hanging yourself out to dry if you're Josh Lowe. Now, you look at big brother, Nate. I can't call him Nathaniel. He's Nate Lowe to me. I will let me tell this story very quickly. When Nate was still with the Rays, there was a year, I think it was 20, might have been 20. I forget if it was 2018 or it must have been 2019. We were in Port Charlotte for spring training, and it's picture day. So they go around and they go do all the different stations to get their pictures done for going up on the scoreboard and going in the programs, doing this. And Nate walked in and he had lost like 25 pounds over the offseason. I think you might remember this. He got really, really skinny. He walked in. I went, Josh, where's your brother? And he laughed so hard because he did. He looked like Josh at that point. But, Nate's had his struggles apart from the 1 year that,
right.
The year that Texas ended up winning the World Series in 23. That was Nate's really big year. And the rest of the time, it's been a struggle for him as well. Some guys are just going to struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I wonder what
this job. It's what makes this work so hard. I mean, you think about it, guys that fail 7 out of 10 times are in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. What's your take on the sale of the team, Stu being out, what that means for the stadium? I know there's a lot of people with a lot of different opinions, but how soon do you think this is going to get done, and how do you think that affects what we're seeing with the stadium going on here in the future?
The one thing about the prospective sale of the team is that there are people that feel that once the team is sold, all of a sudden the new stadium will appear and the payroll will double. And I have to warn you to kind of hold off on that, because you can't make that assumption. You really can't, because we don't know all of the names in the ownership group. So we don't know if somebody has land in Hillsborough County that they're willing to contribute. Because if they're not, and if a certain somebody that we all know that has that land that has talked about putting a stadium on it isn't in that group, it means they're going to have to buy the land. And I'll make this comparison. Out in Orlando back in the 60s. So this is now, 60 plus years ago. There were a bunch of companies that were buying up swampland outside of the little sleepy town that Orlando was at the time. And they were getting it for like $18 an acre. Let's just say that I'm making that number up as an arbitrary price. So all of a sudden they're like, oh, this is being bought up. Oh, this next one's being bought up by this other company. Oh, this next one. And the Orlando Sentinel put a couple of reporters on it, and they kind of pieced everything together and found out that all these companies were all little shells that were being run by one big company called Walt Disney. And so, and as soon as the Orlando Sentinel posted or reported that all of these pieces of land were being bought by Walt Disney because there was going to be a new theme park outside of Orlando, the price of land shot up from $18 an acre to $180 an acre. Because because it's theme park land. You need a theme park. You've got money. You want a stadium, it's going to cost money for land, and you're going to end up paying a premium if you don't have the land available to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you about them not being able to spend that money right off the bat. Like, they're not going to, here, and they're just going to go out there.
Oh, here's $1.7 million for the team. Oh, now I got to spend another $1.3 billion for a stadium. That's $3 billion right off the top. And now you will want to double the double the payroll.
Yeah, maybe you just dip into the Ronnie Lane retirement account.
Yeah, we call that Jay Recher money, right?
You got that right. CP9.com. Carney, let everybody know what you got going on, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to mention I'm looking at the comments as we're going through, and I see one that says knock down West Shore Mall and build a new Rays stadium there. You can't do that because it's flood zone. because of the flood zone. It would be like building a new race stadium at Derby Lane. You can't do it because during the hurricanes, West Shore Mall got all flooded out. You would be the same thing. I think they want it somewhere where they can use it as an evacuation site for people in case there is another storm, kind of like what you would want to see out of a big a big building like that. So that's why I think West Shore Mall doesn't make a whole lot of sense, only because I think that the floodplain there, you're in kind of SOL land for that. So as for me, right now stuff is on Substack because I'm transitioning between internet providers. So St. Pete 9 is currently OOC for the moment, but you can catch me raisinsider.substack.com, and we got stuff up there. I'm keep putting stuff up there.
Nice, man. Good stuff, buddy. Steve Carney, the Almanac. If you need a question answered about the Rays or anything else in the Tampa Bay area, there's a pretty good chance he knows the answer to it. Carn Dog, I appreciate you, my friend. Have a great weekend. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely, and for the Almanac point, there's going to be a little bit of who dresses the best in the Tampa Bay region, and it's this guy. It's
Woo-hoo.
Recher.
Woo-hoo. I love it. Thanks, Carney.
Right.
Appreciate you,
brother. Be good.
All right, see ya. Carney's all over it, man. I appreciate it. Good dude. All right, I want to talk about this. I know Seth Varnador is going to join us here in a bit, but I see a lot of people are Lachlan Hewlett, right? Lachlan Hewlett last night with the fake punt. What was going? Because you've seen the pictures, right? You've seen the pictures of like the kid, and he's like, I don't know what to do, blah blah. I don't know what to do, or is just he's trying to not make it obvious that he's not a punter, right? So what is going through his head? I had to ask him. I had to. What's going through your head? Everybody in the world thinks a punt's coming, but you're out there and you're not a punter. You're a backup quarterback. So I asked Lachlan Hewlett, the freshman quarterback, last night, bro, what is going through your head as you're about to try to attempt your first pass in college? Hold on, guys. There we go. Here's Lachlan Hewlett when I asked him.
Viral photos right now on the internet is you kind of just standing out there waiting. What's going through your mind as you're standing out there and you're like, I'm not a punter, I'm a quarterback. Yeah. Like, obviously first game of the season, you're trying to like blend in. Like, what's going through your thought process right there before that ball snapped?
Yeah, so when I came out, they have a mechanic. They're like, if you don't like the look, we're gonna run it, take a delay game. So immediately my eyes went to that corner. I saw he was swatted. He was about 2-3 yards off. I was like, oh yeah, touchdown.
Did anybody
viral?
No, they didn't realize. The coaches, Coach Kramer, Coach Juice, they did a great job.
How did the celebration feel when you went back to the sideline?
Man, it was awesome. It was crazy. I love my teammates. They were happy for me. They were fired up. It was great.
What a great moment in USF football sports history. Like, honestly, you're always going to remember that fake punt. I don't know if there's any other, like, I could be wrong, but is there any other fake punts that really stick out to you in the history of either the Bucs or USF? That's got to be one of the biggest ones. Greg DeCruz, casual fan, Jay, but that play got me excited. Football's entertainment. We were all thoroughly entertained after that play. And you like to see coaches go for it. I say this a lot, where I understand that there's got to be some semblance of even keel. There's some semblance of you don't want to get too high, you don't want to get too low, you want to be measured. I get that. But we watch sports for the entertainment value. And I think a lot of us out there, we will forgive to a certain extent. And you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we will excuse a player or a coach being a little bit too aggressive rather than being scared and being too passive, right? If a guy makes a mistake and goes for it, that's why, like, I know I'm in the minority. Like, I didn't hate at the time, Jason, like, going to try to draft Roberto Aguayo. Your team sucked. You couldn't kick for years. You had this cursed field goal kicker, and you have the guy right in front of you with Florida State ties that was the most accurate kicker in college football history. Hey, go for it, man. I know it didn't work out. I know it backfired. He wouldn't do it again, but like he tried. I like that. I like the effort. Give the effort. Last night, Alex Golesh goes for it on 4th and kind of 1.5 with the tush push and doesn't get it early on. It probably wasn't the greatest play call, but you love the aggressiveness. You love that he's like, all right, well, I believe in my guys. That's what you want. You don't want no passive-aggressive bullshit. You don't want no, like, apprehension or tepid mindset when you're talking about professional sports. Go for it. Make the move. Nelson Cruz for Joe Ryan, right? Joe Ryan for Nelson Cruz. That didn't work out, but everybody always says the Rays don't make a move. They don't try to go get power bats, and it backfired that time, but at least they went for it. I respect that. Jacobian, I think my exact words were, holy shit, this kid has a cannon, and then I realized he was a quarterback. This will end up being one of the classic trick plays. Yep. Greg Cruz, and this is a good point. Not sure about that. Some fans haven't forgiven Bulls for that all-out blitz versus the Rams in the playoffs. Now, that is the perfect kind of counter to that argument, Greg. I like that. Perfect. That's when you want the other side, right? That's where you want the other, maybe you should have been a little smarter there. But you don't get back in that game if you don't have that mindset, right? We don't talk about the plays that preceded that, where he was aggressive, right? And I think you look at this offense or the defense sometimes to the Bucs, whether it goes back to Mike Smith as the DC or even times last year, we're looking at this Buccaneers, secondary, especially, you see the corners and they're playing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 yards off the ball for whatever reason. And you're like, damn, man, you're giving up so much underneath. Why? Be aggressive. Press. Get up on there. Be physical. Make it tough for these guys to get off the line of scrimmage. So you gave the one kind of opposite side of that, Greg, which is good. And, you could look at Kevin Cash and the whole Blake Snell thing. Some people look at that as being a little bit too passive and not being aggressive with your ace on the mound. Go out there and do your thing. So I'm with you. And like David Terry, Bruce Arians' mindset, no risk it, no biscuit. And we were able to see a guy here in the Tampa Bay area drafted number 1 overall in Jameis Winston, where he kind of personified that. That was all him. No risk it, no biscuit. He threw 30 touchdowns, but he also threw 30 interceptions. And I'll never forget that press conference. And he said, you got to check your sheet. And I go, oh, that was it. That was the death knell when it came to Jameis Winston. Bye-bye, buddy. You just didn't get it. You got to have that balance. But even though you need that balance and you want to stay even keel, I still think you want to tend to err on the side of aggression and putting the pedal to the metal. And I think your fans appreciate that. You want to see that. People don't mind if you go down with a blaze of glory sometimes, right? Go out on your shield rather than just kind of sitting there taking the punches. Don't taking the time, no taking the timeouts and just kind of take the beating like we saw last night. Like, think about this, right? Last night, at the end of the game, Boise State took out their starters. We got to a point at Raymond James Stadium in the first game of the season against the number 25 team in the country where Boise State put in their backup quarterback. That should tell you all you need to know about what USF was able to do to Boise State last night. A win was on the table. We spoke about that on the program yesterday. And outside of our guy, Robert Cochran, I don't know if anybody had a score of 34-7. There are things that they need to clean up, no doubt about it. And you could say, and Benny's saying maybe Boise State is over. It's tough to tell. Week 1 is week 1. Regardless of whether a team's overrated or underrated. I thought that was kind of ironic where some of the fans at Recher last night are chanting overrated to Boise State. And it's just like, how do you know? It's week 1. Nobody was going in there saying Boise State was national championship contenders. Like, that's just, listen, the 25th ranked team in the country. This is a team that for many, many years have been kind of on the outside of the big power conferences, and they've been able to do their thing on their blue field. And they are it's one of the great, I think, stories of all sports. They're just kind of I don't want to say the anti-hero, but they're just the little engine that could every single year. You're not surprised by their success. Obviously, culminated in that big Fiesta Bowl victory over Oklahoma. But I think about the same thing with like Gonzaga in basketball. They're not a blue blood, a team that's been like a powerhouse for years, but in the last 2-3 decades or so, you got to put respect on their name because they've been pretty damn good and successful in collegiate athletics. And a win last night, whether they're overrated or underrated, I don't care. USF in other years loses that game by 45, but they were on the winning side. They win 34-7, and we continue the conversation and the breakdown of what happened last night with our good pal Seth Varnador I always want to say Seth Varnador, a good Italiano from Bay Area Examiner. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Good. I'll take it. I'll take the Varnadore.
The Varnadore. I love it. Listen, brother, you and I, we've watched a lot of games where it's flipped 34-7 to the visiting team. Now that we have, 12 hours or so, 18 hours after the game, what's the biggest thing that you remember about that game last night that kind of led to that victory by that margin?
Well, I think a couple of things. I think the standout probably moment is going to be that fake punt.
Right.
And in terms of even the advanced analytics stuff, if you look at win probability added, that play was the biggest of the night. I think it added a 19% win probability for USF. It was the biggest play by far. And then at the time of the game, obviously, it kind of flipped the momentum where it's pretty even and put it directly in USF's favor. But I think the other side of it is that USF I thought they looked really buttoned up across the board. They won kind of every cliched coaching situation you hear coaches talk about. They won turnovers. They won third downs. They won red zone scoring. So, they kind of went out and they didn't really play all that great offensively. The defense was lights out. But you still won kind of every situation against a team that's, I think, is pretty well coached and will probably still win 9 or 10 games this year.
Yeah.
It's not – I don't think Boise's bad.
Yeah. What was it about the defense? Because I look at it last night, and I feel like that's probably the most buttoned up defense that I've seen in a while. Because you win, obviously it starts in the trenches. We get it, but I don't know. I don't remember, Seth, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember them flying to the football like that. I don't remember them gang tackling like that. I mean, you saw it even just a couple of years ago with Antonio Greer and Dwayne Boyles. At times, it was just those two guys, and then everybody else was all right, kind of pilfering in. KJ Sales had his good times, right? I mean, but other than last night, as much as Mack and Jalen Schuler, I think, were two of the guys that led the way, bro, there were so many different guys on the defensive side of the ball that it was just everybody. It was like a magnet to the football.
Yeah, I thought they had a really good plan on defense too, but part of that was they had some kind of influx of transfers that came in that were able to contribute right away. They're grown men, especially on the defensive line. You had Josh Seliskar, Merrifield, Devin Lee came in and played, and those three started the game next to DJ Harris, and those were big bodies. And Golesh talked about having the big bodies to rotate because the thing you got to go do against Boise State is stop the run. Their whole offense is kind of predicated on run and then play action off the run. Mm-hmm. So if you can slow the running game down, which they did a really good job of, obviously it puts them behind the 8 ball. And then being able to offensively to get up, I think helps make Boise State play a little left-handed where they ended up throwing the ball a ton.
Yeah.
I was going to go back and look, but I'd imagine they had more pass attempts last night than they had in almost any game last year.
Yeah.
So you make them drop back a ton, and then you've got guys, like you said, flying to the football, understanding where they need to be. I think the biggest thing, and we talked to Golesh about in the offseason at media days, but the defense had been improving year to year since they got here on a down-to-down basis. So, success rate for offenses was dropping every year, but they gave up the explosive plays a ton. And so you would see where the defense would look great for 2 or 3 plays, look great for 2 or 3 series, and then a huge play would happen, a missed tackle or something. It would generate a huge explosive play. I think they only gave up 4 last night, and Boise State's explosive play rate was really low, 17th percentile. Mm. So, and they were one of the worst in the country at giving those up last year. So if they can keep that up, they'll probably be pretty good on defense this year.
48 pass attempts for Boise State. That doesn't even sound right when you say it for a team like that
No.
that wants to control the game a little bit more. And like you said, run the football, control the clock, use that play action, and then, pop you from here and there. Byron Brown, just seeing him last night, he's always been a taller guy and a bigger guy. He looked like a grown-ass man in that press conference.
Yeah,
last
he's a
night.
hoss.
He's a big dude. He's a dog. And, obviously we know where his shortcomings are when it comes to just being accurate with the football. And, I like that, he, even after he missed one of those long throws, he was able to complete another 2 last night. But running the football, my God, Seth, he shrugs these D-backs off and runs these guys over. What is the ceiling for Byron Brown this year? Like, let's say, okay, maybe they win against Florida. Maybe they win against, like, they're 1-2 or 2-1. Regardless, I don't know. I don't think they're going to win all 3. But, like, let's say they go and they're in the conference championship game, like, or even they win the conference championship. Like, is he a dark horse Heisman candidate? Because I feel like if they're going to be that good, he kind of has to be what he did last night. And 2 years ago, we're talking, and I'll say this probably for the 7th straight show, we're talking about a guy who put up, it was Jaden Daniels light 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Seth, his numbers are going to be through the freaking roof if this team is worth anything. So I wonder what the narrative, because listen, he's up there right now. People are looking at it like, holy shit, look at this. But if he keeps having games like this, and they're going to play some lesser competition in these conference games, and he's going to have some huge numbers if he stays healthy, like, where are we at with Byron Brown in 2025? Where could you see, like, how high can his ceiling get this year?
Yeah, I don't know about like Heisman type stuff. I think you'd have to almost be undefeated or pretty close to it to kind of get in that conversation. I think he plays himself into. I think if he hits his ceiling, he's playing himself into a lot of money one way or the other. I think he could, if he can kind of shore up some of his passing stuff, and it's not bad. It's just, just a little bit more consistent with his throwing. I know a couple years ago, he was kind of starting to pop up on like Draft Nick's radars and things like that. Right. Guys that follow the draft really closely were already kind of eyeing him a couple years ago. So I think he's a guy with his physical ability that could probably, if he has a great year, I'd imagine he'll be moving on to make money somewhere, a lot of money. So it could be at the college level, but it could be. I think he could be an NFL guy potentially with all his physical tools. But he was super productive in 2023. Last year, I thought he started off the year kind of slow for him, so it was nice to see him kind of hit the ground running, pun intended, I guess, and kind of set himself back to that where he ended 2023 when he was. I kind of really had the offense kind of figured out and was really hitting his stride. So, I think he could have a really, really great year, like you said, especially once they get in the conference play. Their conference schedule is not really difficult. So if they can kind of keep playing at this level, they should be pretty good.
What did you make of the running attack last night? Because when you look at the numbers now, it's like, oh, yeah, he had over 100 yards. But for a while there, it was like 50 and 43 of them came from Byron before that, that pop there at the end. So what did you make of the running attack? That's, to me, probably one of the biggest issues that I saw, that interior of the offensive line. How much does that concern you going forward? And was there any other bright spot from that group that you saw?
Yeah, I think it's concerning the next couple of weeks because I think Boise State's pretty good up front, and they kind of really owned you in the box for the most part. USF had to go to kind of more throwing, and then also had to go to the kind of the quarterback run because it gets you an extra blocker in the box too. Because just kind of conventional run game, Boise was beating them up a little bit. Right. I think it'll be pretty much the same the next couple of weeks, especially with it looks like you might be down a couple starters potentially, or guys you thought would be starters on the offensive line the next couple of weeks. So I don't know how much that could short up conventional run game wise, but I think once they get into the season, the conference slate, they should be all right. I think that'll pick up. You saw though that the pace they play at, and that's been a big point of contention when it's not working. It didn't work early, and you saw, some people come, here we go, 3 and outs. But as you got into that second half, you could see Boise was tired. They started reaching a little bit more. They're not quite getting to their spots when they're supposed to be making tackles, and it's arm tackles now. And now you've got guys like Cartavius Norton that are like bowling balls that just run right through those things. So that pace will help them a little bit. But that my concern after the game is offensively you were able to get by with a ton of explosive plays.
Mhm.
If people take those away, and then especially the next couple of weeks, kind of what's the counter punch? Because I don't know if you'll have one.
Yeah, that's a good point. And one of my big questions that I had going into this game is, all right, who's going to be that safety net for Byron? Because we saw Sean Atkins. I mean, just incredible his impact for this program. But I know they only combined for 8 catches, man. But, you know, that was damn near half of them because there were 70 completions, one of them coming on the fake punt. But I like what I saw from Singleton and Nimrod last night. And it wasn't just because they had the catches, Seth. It was because they were tough catches, and they were a bear to bring down. How excited are you about those two guys? And should we be looking at anybody else? Because you got to know Florida's probably looking at those two. Like, let's take those two away and try to get somebody else to beat us.
Yeah, so coming into the year, Singleton was the guy that everyone was kind of like, all right, he's the dude for sure. He's one you can kind of lock his side down. Nimrod was, you know, you thought he was going to have a pretty good year just coming from Tennessee, being in the system. He could be productive right away. You see the depth chart for the first week, and he's listed as an or with Jaquan Smith. So that kind of gives you a little pause. But they really like singled him up a lot. They would put kind of their formation into the boundary and get Boise to kind of give him a ton of room to the field one-on-one, and Boise kind of obliged them by playing one-on-one, and you saw Nimrod go up and make plays. So I think both those guys are physically talented enough that if you're going to give them a ton of ones, they can win a lot. But, yeah, they're going to need some other guys to step up, and we'll see, you know, a lot of the slot, like Porter and Moody Rubin got some throws on the quick screen game stuff, but probably have to see a little bit more of that. You did see a bunch of guys rotate in. Koger got in. I think Christian Neptune, the freshman, got in, which is somewhat unusual for the system. It's usually you hear about these guys all camp, and it's like, all right, I'll file that away for 2 years from now. But he actually got in and played a decent bit. So, I think you'll probably need one of those other guys to step up the next couple of weeks. But they seem to have a bunch of bodies out there that can play, which is nice.
Yeah, Koger, when he could have had that pass, but he dropped it and then picked up his fumble. It's kind of a weird call. I was like, you never know, man. What's a catch? What's not a catch? Depends on what, right? I mean, that's like, wow, what a great heads up play to be able to, but you know, obviously it worked out because they were able to score later on. But I just feel like, and the mentality, Seth, was different, wasn't it? Like, as much as we want to talk about, you know, all right, physically they were able to do this, they were able to do that, but like, I just feel like even at the end of the game, like Boise takes their starters out, they were still flying around in the football. There was no let up. There was no even when they went down 7-0, they didn't get down. Even when they scored points, they didn't, you know, because I tweeted this out last night. For many years, every time there'd be a great touchdown or a scoring drive, like you were always like, all right, well, here comes a freaking drive coming back the other way to steal all the momentum back. But it just seemed like last night you looked at it and you were like, nah, man, this team, what do you see mentally from this team that, and I know it's just one game, but that shows that, hey, there's a belief now, and what Coach Golesh has been preaching seems to be, at least early returns, paying off.
Well, I think part of it is they've done a really good job kind of getting guys in that can play. So that creates a natural competitiveness in the roster where, like, I can't go out and half step. Like, you see a guy like Deshaun Rucker playing really well. Well, he missed the tackle. I think Jonas Duclona comes in and just plays unbelievable. Like, so, like, then it's really a next man up mentality. Which is what all coaches are kind of looking for. But, you know, to me, 2 plays that really kind of signify the mentality they played with last night was you mentioned the Koger fumble, which in turn ended up being an incompletion, and then Cartavius Norton had a fumble later. And both those balls, right when they came out, you're like, oh, Boise State's got it. They had guys on the football. And then you come out of the pile, and the USF guys got it. So, like, it seemed like they were just ready to go. They played with a ton of desire. And, you know, cliche want to, but they this was not a game they were taking lightly. They were kind of really keyed up. I thought they executed pretty well. They played really hard, and you had guys flying around, and from you know, the opening kick to the last whistle, dudes were flying around trying to hit people. So I think it was a really, really good effort. And if that's kind of the mentality you can carry out throughout the rest of the year, you can probably win a ton of games.
Yeah, and I know this really doesn't mean anything because it's so like happenstance, but other than Devin Lee at the end, every guy that was down for an injury was a Boise State guy. And I feel like for years we've seen not only USF lose games, but we've also seen them like, all right, they're losing by 25, and another corner just got hurt. And now they're down by 30, and now a linebacker is hurt. And now they're down 40, and now a defensive lineman has to be carried off. So it was just like, I don't want to say I'm happy that their players got hurt, but it was just like, all right, well, it seems like they're taking care of themselves too, and that they're healthy, and for the most part, they should be okay going forward.
And it was nice to see. I thought like the first couple of drives, Boise came. I may be contradicting what I just said, but the first couple of drives, Boise came out really physical and like was kind of taking it to USF initially. And I think there have been times in the past where you kind of get that initial punch in the face and you kind of fold back.
Right.
But I mean, probably a great example of it is Byron Brown gets thrown to the ground after a play. Literally the next play finds the dude that threw him to the ground and just lays his shoulder on him and just smokes him and runs for 10 more yards. So it was like they did not back down. They stood toe to toe and ended up knocking Boise out.
So they won't back down. And that's a great transition to their team that they play. I don't know if you knew I was going that way, but I did. A little top Betty action. Pro. That's right, pal. All right, so give me realistic chances for USF next week against Florida. Obviously, they still have to play their first game tomorrow against Long Island University. Woohoo! Me as a Long Islander, I take zero pride in that team.
When your shark, you don't have your Sharks merch ready to go?
Nah, I don't have it. They didn't. They were like, you can come play baseball here, and I was like, no. I'd rather go broadcasting school. I did get an offer for them to come play baseball there, and I was like, dude, I'm going to be a broadcaster. I want to be on ESPN. That's literally what I told one of their scouts when he came to my games. Like, I'm not going to play for you. He's like, come on, man, it's right close to home. I'm like, I'm getting the hell out of here. Bye. But what can they take, right? I mean, obviously, I think you look at things like the wide receiver, they'll probably do better against some of those guys. But what is some of the things that they can take from the game, from the win over Boise State against Florida? And what are some of the things that concern you? Because obviously it's a level, it's a step up in competition, but DJ Lagway, Billy Napier, they still got a lot to prove as well.
Yeah. I think the positives are, how they played and that they were pretty buttoned up. Like the guys were in the right spots. They knew what they're doing. You can tell they've had guys that have been in the system a little bit, and the guys who aren't are veteran guys that have played a lot of football. So I think you feel pretty good knowing they'll go out and execute the plan. The concerning things are the lines of scrimmage. I think especially Florida's defensive line against your offensive line when you're going to be playing some backups. You really struggle to run the football. And Florida has played Tennessee every year under this coaching staff. So this is not going to be the pace isn't going to be a surprise for them. They've kind of had plans for this last 3 years. So I'll be interested to see if Florida wants to play with a lighter box and see if their big bodies up front can just hold up at the point of attack and then put guys in coverage to try to limit the explosives from USF. Because, if USF's able to get those explosives in the passing game, it kind of doesn't matter if what you're doing in the box, whatever. We'll just keep throwing these explosives. So that's my concern. If Florida can stop the run with kind of a lighter box, it could be a tougher night. Byram is such an X factor because he's so strong and slippery that he can kind of make you right when you're wrong, which is always a nice kind of player to have. So that's where I'm concerned, but if they come out and kind of can win on the margins like they did last night, like they didn't really have any stupid penalties. Yeah. They had a couple unlucky penalties, but no personal fouls, nothing dumb. Boise, the team you thought was Boise. It was team you thought was pretty polished and, battle tested. They kind of folded a little bit. And then, you win red zone, you score touchdowns in the red zone, and you create turnovers in the red zone. You win third downs. You kind of execute the same plan you had this week. That gives you your chance. But, I think it's going to be a tough task just on offensively getting consistent play-to-play success. But if your defense can kind of create some turnovers, which that is one thing DJ Lagway has shown, that you can confuse him at times, and he will throw interceptions. So you can cash a couple of those in, and you can make it a game.
Who's the bigger X factor next Saturday, Byron Brown or DJ Lagway?
Oh, I'd say Byram, just because I think Florida's offensive line is so big and their running game will be pretty good that an okay DJ Lagway performance, maybe they can still run the football pretty well. I think Byram's going to have to play really well for USF to have a chance to win, because I don't think they're just going to be able to line up and run the ball at Florida. So he's going to have to be on in the passing game and probably add a ton in the rushing game as well. So I don't think they win a game without Byram playing well.
No doubt. What would a win for USF mean? Not just for them, but also in the national landscape. Because as much as like, okay, like you there was almost a little bit of a, announcement like, hey, a big win
Yeah.
last night, but you win this game against Florida in the swamp. What does that mean?
I mean, I would think it probably puts you in the top 25. You may get some votes this week just based on this game and how other games go across the week. But you're probably going in the top 25 against Miami, who if they beat Notre Dame, maybe you're a game day game or something like that. I think it really changes your trajectory. Obviously, if you can win, these first 2 games, you feel pretty good about your conference slate. And if you can kind of take care of business there, you start thinking playoff at that point. It's a little early for that. Just with health, and if you kind of can hit that, if you can say, hey, here's our ceiling, we can consistently hit it, especially going to Florida down 2 starting offensive linemen and win against what a lot of people think is a first-round pick at defensive tackle and Caleb Banks and a couple other guys on the edge there that NFL people like. You go in there and win that game with 2 backup linemen, you'll probably be pretty good the rest of the year.
You got that right. He is Seth Varnadore, good Italiano, Gators Game Day Bay Area Examiner. Thanks, pal. You always make our show a whole heck of a lot better. Good seeing you last night, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you for your time.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
You got it, pal. He's all over it, man. Love chatting with Seth about all things college football. And, a huge win. I mean, think about that, too. I didn't really prepare that question beforehand, but what if USF does win against Florida? I think there was a chance. Again, we had this conversation with Corey Long yesterday. A win was on the table last night. Really was. You win in Gainesville against the Gators. Now people are you're getting everybody's ears perked up and the eyebrows start raising. You're wondering like, all right, how good is this team? Well, you can't win 2 games without winning 1. So they've already taken care of business against Boise State at home. Again, there is room for improvement, but man, again, it's got to feel good as a USF Bulls fan today. How do you feel today as a USF Bulls fan? Questions, comments, concerns, leave them there at the bottom of the screen. And also, if you want to chime in on the conversation, here is the link. I'm surprised Robert Cochran has not called in today. If you took the over, you win. Brandon H., West Virginia fan, USF, come join the Big 12. Very impressive win. Thank you very much. Greg DeCruz, I'm going to just say this. Did last night's win make you forget about Grimsby? No, it didn't. Oh, God. Please don't bring that up ever again. Oh, I'm still jacked up about the whole Manchester United thing. Still makes me want to punt something, just to punt something. Oh God, man, what a crazy trade yesterday. We were on the field yesterday at Raymond James Stadium before the game when we heard the news about Micah Parsons getting traded. Now, I mean, you look at him getting traded and getting that record contract. I mean, so the Cowboys trade him to the Green Bay Packers, and in exchange, they get Kenny Clark, who's a pretty good defensive tackle, and 2 first-round picks. So Green Bay's a good team. So those picks are going to be towards the end of the first round, and then Micah agrees to a 4-year, $188 million contract, $120 million fully guaranteed at signing, $136 in total guarantees. I mean, my God, that is life-changing money for him. 26 years old, 26-year-old pass rusher, one of the best pass rushers in the game. You've committed money to Dak. You've committed money to CeeDee Lamb. And you have a guy like that. And again, when you have these discussions about paying guys, and we've seen people dragging their feet, and the whole Terry McLaurin and Trey Hendrickson and all these different things, right? And you're like, oh, the Micah Parsons deal is going to get taken care of. Don't you worry. Well, it didn't. It didn't get taken care of. So now we're at a position and we're like, holy smokes. The balance of power possibly in the NFC North has shifted. I might have been on the Packers over the Lions before the deal. I am definitely Packers over Lions right now after the deal. I think that losing Frank Ragnow is a killer for the Detroit Lions. I think when you look at a guy like Jared Goff, who's not getting any younger, he's not the fleetest of foot. And also losing both of your coordinators. We saw the impact that it had on the Philadelphia Eagles a couple of years ago. I think you're going to have a very similar impact to Detroit this year. Now, do I think Detroit's necessarily going to miss the playoffs? No, I still think they might win a wild card. But are they going to be as good as last year? No, I just don't think that that's humanly possible. I mean, Ben Johnson, and we saw it in this again, which was so great to see in the Netflix documentary, The Quarterback. You just like the ability that he had to be creative and to get his guys out in space. I mean, just amazing. You don't have that guy. And it's what the Buccaneers have done the last couple of years, going from Dave Canales to Liam Cohen and now to Josh Guzard. Like, it's pretty impressive that there hasn't been a drop-off. And I know we've yet to see what Josh Guzard's been able to do in the regular season. And I think it's a little bit of a different scenario there because Dave Canales had his faults. He had his warts. Again, don't forget, week 18, he's saying, I don't know the identity of my team. They still couldn't run the football. And I think a lot of what he was able to do well is because he had a great attitude and he's a really good communicator, even though he's not a fantastic play caller. And then you come with Liam Cohen and you saw what he was able to do. And like our pal Luke Easterling said earlier this week, he thinks Jacksonville is going to be a pretty good team because Liam is there. Ben Johnson was one of the best play callers in the league last year. Like, and it wasn't even close. Like, he's up there, top 5, easy. So it is going to be awfully tough to be able to have a guy come in and replicate what he was able to do. I have a lot more confidence in the Buccaneers being able to replicate what they were able to do rather than what the Detroit Lions, what they're going to try to duplicate this year. Just because I think there's a lot that goes into it. I think you talk about, again, the center with Frank Ragnow. I think Baker's a much more athletic quarterback than Jared Goff. I think less has to go right for Baker. Like, he can kind of take the bull by the horns and make some plays with his legs. And I think, the running back situation, I think, is, probably lean a little bit more Detroit because you have that efficient 1-2 punch of David Montgomery, who's a little bit more the batting ram, and then Jahmyr Gibbs. But do we know that, they're going to be able to utilize them as well as they did last year? Like, it seemed like what Ben Johnson was able to do was really put those guys in a position to succeed. He knew when to go with certain guys. He knew when to, call certain plays. We knew where we're at the goal line. It wasn't just David Montgomery all the time. But you have John Morton now as your new OC. Is he going to be able to do that? Does he know what plays to call? Does he know when to be aggressive, know when to sit back? We'll see. But I think there's a lot more questions for Detroit, and I like the move. I like the move for the Packers, and I think it vaunts them right up to the top. Okay. Now, let me see. Real quick, guys. Okay. So, I want to show you. This is a gift from our guy, Honest Hammer. And again, check out my guys, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, 813-244-0956. My guy, Honest Hammer. I went over to the job site yesterday and saw my guy Russ, a new house build in St. Pete. Right? You're going to be able to see me from everywhere. Look at Honest Hammer, baby. I like this comfortable shirt. Right? People are going to see you from a mile away. They're going to be able to see you from space with this damn shirt on. Unbelievable. Got my Honest Hammer hat. I've already got one of these. Now I got 2, baby. Honest Hammer. Check them out right there. Okay. And now, I think there was a koozie. Yeah, there is a koozie in here. Look at this guy. Oh, business cards. Look at these badass business cards. Unbelievable. 813-244-0956, thehonesthammer.com. Check out these bad boys. These are stickers. Oh, cool, man. Stickers. Honest Hammer. All right. So, I'm not the biggest construction guy. I do a lot of things with my hands. But I was thinking, I've never had one of these before. I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to wear one, get one, be around one. okay? And I always see this. And I always remember it because one of my favorite movies is Ocean's 13. You guys ever see Ocean's 13? I just love the writing. The writing's incredible. And there's one part, and listen, the movie's been around forever, so I don't care if I spoil it. So the one part, so Al Pacino's guy, Bank, he ends up screwing over Ruben, one of the guys in the Ocean's crew. And George Clooney's character, Danny Ocean, goes to Bank, Al Pacino, and he's like, hey, we want to make Ruben whole. We want to help him out. And Bank says, you just roll over and die. And I'm just like, wow, that's jacked up. But there's just something about it where George Clooney with his perfect hair is wearing a hard hat. And he like takes it off right at the end of the scene and he like just like puts it down. He just kind of walks away. And for some reason, it always stood out to me of like George Clooney is wearing a hard hat. I'll probably never wear a hard hat ever. And I'm just thinking about this on Wednesday night when the movie was on. Thursday, I show up to the job site. And my guy, Hammer, my guy, Russ, says, I got something for you. And it's in this box. And wouldn't you know, my man got me a freaking hard hat with my name on. I'm taking it out. I'm taking it out. I'll open this damn thing. There we go. I'm muscle. I don't want to mess it up. Look at this. Klein Tools with the light on it. It's got my freaking name on it. Are you serious? Honest Hammer, Custom Builders. What does this go on the front? It goes on the back. I don't know how to put this damn thing on. Look at your boy. Mama, we made it. This is a light. Bro, we got a light up in here. No way. It looks so crazy because I got this light on. Bro, no way. I'm official. I'm a badass now. I'm a construction worker. Put the windows over there. Put the windows over there. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Is that what you say? What a contract. Oh, there's like multiple. So, my guy, Russ, Honest Hammer. Look at this thing, man. Look at this. Got my name on it. I feel official. You can loosen it up, right? Loosen it. Loosen it. Oh, you can loosen it. Bro, this is a badass. Oh, and tighten it on the back. Look at your boy right now, huh? Look at this. Mom? Dad? See, the problem is I'm going to wear something like this, and then people are going to think I can build shit, and I can't build a goddamn thing. I can't do any. I can hammer. Listen, I'm not like totally inept. I can paint. I've painted walls and stuff, and I can put things together. Like I'm no handyman, but I can do the basic stuff, right? But now that I got this, I mean, I might just wear this for the rest of the show. What do you guys think? Wear for the rest of the show? No way, because we're gonna have Jordyn Listro joining us, the captain of the Tampa Bay Sun, at 2:00, and she's gonna be like, "What are you doing, Bob the Builder?" But I'm feeling pretty good about this hat, guys. I can't lie. I think it looks. How does it look? Does it look okay? I feel like I'm about to go on a hunt. I feel like I'm about to go on an African safari right now, but I got this light on. So if it's like the lights go out here, boom. Oh, there's like a bright mode, medium mode, and then off mode. I'm going to turn my light off here, see if it makes a difference. Oh, there we go. Boom, boom. Nah, no difference. I don't like that yellow light. There we go. Honest Hammer, custom. I'm thinking of a pith helmet, Benny. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking of. This is amazing. So I don't know when I'll ever need this. I honestly don't know. But I just think every once in a while, if I'm having a bad day and I'm feeling a little goofy, I'm just going to wear my hard hat with my name on it, with the light on. Honest Hammer, Custom Builders. I should show up. Greg, you're so right. I should show up at the Dane Terry Cafe wearing. Listen, this could be a good hat when like you're playing poker, right? And somebody's like, "Oh, I call," and you're like, "Do you call? You gonna raise, bitch?" Light off. I love this. Oh, stickers. I could put more stickers on here. You're right, Benny. So again, this is the kind of guy. Listen, got a chance to talk to Russ yesterday. our friends at Honest Hammer Custom Builders, 813-244-0956. This is just a good human being, man. He's a good dude. And it really helps, like, if, you want to get return on investment, right, for him sponsoring the podcast. So if you guys know anybody that needs work done, kitchen renovations, bathroom renovations, I know a lot of people are renovating their bathrooms. Like, give him a call, man. 813-244-0956. He's just a good dude, right? He gave Bucks tickets to the last preseason game, for free. Just gave them to some of our listeners here. He got me a freaking hard hat. Dude, this is the kind of guy that you want to invest in. This is the kind of guy that you want to do work with. He's just a good dude. So I'm going to do the rest of this 25 minutes with my hard hat on. And then when Jordan Listro comes on, then we're going to take it off because I don't want to be that stupid. But thank you, Russ, and my family over there at Honest Hammer Custom Builders. Again, 813-244-0956. Something that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast, and get you a discount. Yeah, Bart, my first hard hat. Now you'll be able to go check out USF's new stadium. Bart, I know you've worn a hard hat or two in your day, my friend. That is the truth. So tune in right now. Check out my hard hat. I'm going to tweet this out. Tune in now. Tune in now and check out my sweet hard hat, courtesy of our friends at Honest Hammer. Hilarious, dude. These are the kind of things, like, you got to have fun in life, right? You got to have fun. Get her. Nice new sweet. Such a dumbass. I entertain myself. You got to entertain yourself sometime, guys. You have to. I don't even know. Got put. Hard hat for a hurricane when the lights go out. Nice, DT. Nice. Get a high visibility shirt and a ladder and a clipboard, and you can get it to any. That's a good point. So if I put this on, right? If I just started walking around with stuff like this. Hey, we need a cable cut right here and 3 2x6s. Pronto. Call your guy. I'm the new GC around here. Shout out to all the linemen keeping the lights on. You got that right. But hey, all right. Let's take a look at some of the other games that we got going on in college football this weekend, including tonight. Michigan State hosting Western Michigan. My brother's a Michigan State fan, so I'm always keeping a close eye on them. Number 12, Illinois hosts Western Illinois. Auburn goes to Baylor. And then the matchups tomorrow. It starts. It's a big one, buddy. It's high noon. Texas, Ohio State from the Horseshoe. This is, you want to talk about national title implications or college football playoff implications. The number one team in the country, the Texas Longhorns, against the Ohio State Buckeyes. What is Ohio State going to do in an encore? New quarterback, Ryan Day, now that he's finally gotten over the hump. All right, buddy, let's see what you can do now. In Texas, it's the Arch Manning show, because this is a guy that is going to be one of, think about it like this. Arch Manning can be one of the easiest number one picks of all time if he is who we think he is, right? Because a lot of it has to do with, of course, how good the guy did in college and his physical tools, but there's also a projectability factor that either scares teams away or gives teams kind of calm. Peyton had it. Eli had it. Like these legacy guys over time. And Ken Griffey Jr. was another guy, right? You think about that. And I really do believe that if Arch Manning is worth just a little bit, right? Like, I mean, now he's got to be good. Don't get me wrong, because your number one overall pick, team's going to invest their future into you. But if Arch Manning has like a quasi Heisman year, like he's going to be the number one pick if he wants to come out. If he goes back to school, he'll be the number one pick next year. He just got to go out there and do his thing. I'm excited to see if you can have that Manning, intelligence go with a guy that's, able to make some plays outside of the pocket. Make some plays with his legs. If he does that, I mean, sky's the limit for him in this Texas offense, no doubt. Number 24, Tennessee, they host Syracuse as well. That's a good game. They're on ABC, so keep an eye out for that one. Number 20, Indiana host Old Dominion. Florida State and Alabama, 3:30 at the Doak up there in Tallahassee. Number 8, Crimson Tide against the Noles. A lot of people down on Mike Norvell. They're looking at that 1 year, a couple years ago when they went undefeated. They missed the playoff. Obviously Jordan Travis getting banged up didn't hurt, and then all those guys opted out, and then they got smoked in the bowl game by Georgia. This is a statement game. We mentioned this last night for USF. Like, this is an opportunity to go out there and show people how good you are. Alabama's a 14.5-point favorite, though. I don't think Florida State is as bad as some people are saying, and I also don't think Alabama is as good as some people are saying. We had our good pal Nick Kelly on from AL.com yesterday, and he said he'd be very surprised if they don't make the playoff. I think the farther and farther away you get from the Nick Saban era, you have to be cognizant of, all right, what Kalen DeBoer is all about. Is he really going to be that guy to lead this team to prominence? Is he going to be that guy that's going to be at the helm of a team that's consistent every single year, national championship contenders? If not, it's a step back. If not, you're just talking about just another team in the SEC. And the conversation yesterday with Nick about the cannibalism of the Southeastern Conference, I love what he had to say. He said, I can see as many as 10 teams in the college football playoff, not 10 total teams, but 10 teams in the SEC that could be a team that is vying for a spot in the playoff. I don't disagree. There's so much good football. And then again, you add Texas and Oklahoma, like, damn, man, like it's a murderer's row every single week. Let's see what else. Florida, we mentioned them hosting LIU. Nobody wants to say that one. And then another huge game at 7:30. This is the game I really want to see. Clemson, LSU. Remember the discourse surrounding Dabo Swinney at this point last year, not believing, that he had to go into the portal and do this and that, and to be able to keep up with the Joneses. He's kind of steadfast of, this is how I'm going to build my roster, and we're going to go from there. And you bring back, when you look at Drew Aller and Kay Klubnik, the two guys that are returning. There's so much turnover at the quarterback position, especially amongst the top 10, top 15 teams. He's a guy that's going to be a Heisman favorite. And you play a team like LSU with Brian Kelly and the boys, the Bayou Bengals coming to Memorial Stadium there in Clemson, which I was able to see a couple of months ago. This is another statement game. I love these matchups. As much as you want to see some of the, conference matchups, I like a top 10 matchup when you have an ACC team and an SEC team. And it's like, all right, where are you at? Where are you at? Because you can look back and this can help you as the season goes on. And you go, all right, well, don't forget about that win early on in the season. And I think a win for Clemson will really help. And LSU picks up a big win in the SEC somewhere. Let's say LSU is able to knock off a Georgia or knock off a Texas, right? And in week one, Clemson beat them. Now, even though your ACC schedule is not going to be as daunted as the SEC, that can kind of help you out. There's always those, those arguments in college football, the transitive property. Well, they beat this team and they beat that team. So we'll see how that shakes out. Mercedes-Benz Stadium there in Atlanta, big matchup between South Carolina and Virginia Tech Sunday afternoon at 3:00. And then Miami and Notre Dame, two top 10 teams there from Hard Rock in Miami Gardens. Notre Dame, number 6 in the country, Marcus Freeman and the crew against number 10, Miami. What is Carson Beck going to do transferring from Georgia to Miami? I still think the jury's out on the kid. This is a guy that went to Georgia, took over for Stetson Bennett, and I think people are waiting for him to fail. I think people are preying on his downfall. On the field, off the field, what have you. Miami with that number 10 ranking, and I've said this for years. College football is better when Florida and Florida State and Miami are good, and when they're in the top 25, and when their games mean something. Because we know how football is so huge in this state. Miami, an underdog at home, 2.5 points. Notre Dame, the favorite there. That would be a huge win for the Hurricanes. And if they win that game, what does that mean for the USF matchup in 2 weeks? And then finally, Monday night, and we'll talk about this Monday, TCU and North Carolina in Chapel Hill. The first game for Bill Belichick there with the Tar Heels. Cannot wait for that one. Our Rowdies also in action this weekend. If you're looking outside of the college football landscape, Rowdies back in action. They just picked up a new midfielder today. Tomorrow night, 7:30 against Pittsburgh Riverhounds SC. Paul Marie, a new defender that they just brought in on loan from San Jose. After losing last week to Detroit, it's looking rough for our Rowdies. I got to be honest with you. They need to go on a little bit of a run to get into the playoffs. And when you're talking about a team that is going to win it all, right? In the USL, it's completely different because you just got to get in. But you're now 5 points behind the team that's in 8th place, the Indy 11. It's so strange to look at the Eastern Conference standings and to see the Rowdies be in 12th place. Now, the teams ahead of them that are just on the outside, Rhode Island, Birmingham, Legion, and Miami, all have a game in hand. And if the Rowdies win this game, they'll be tied with Rhode Island for 9th place with 21 points. And listen, their goal differential isn't that bad, which really helps in soccer/football. But they're going to need to go on a little bit of a run here. They got 10 matches left. And if they don't pick it up and get 3 points when they need to get 3 points, they're going to be on the outside looking in come postseason time. And it's really, really strange to say that when we're talking about our Tampa Bay Rowdies. And especially such a historic year for them as they recognize the team, the 75 team. They got to step up. They have to step up. All right, the Clash in Paris, WWE's matchup. It's going to be Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern. So let's take a look at the matches there, and I'll give you what I think is going to go down. Seth Rollins in a 4-way match against Jey Uso, CM Punk, and LA Knight. He's going to win that one. I wouldn't be surprised by that whatsoever. Sheamus and Rusev, that's going to be a battle, a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. Becky Lynch against Nikki Bella for the Intercontinental Championship. Keep an eye on that match. Could Nikki Bella, putting Bella, could that be something that the WWE does? I don't see why not. Becky Lynch losing the title really doesn't matter. So why not put it on Nikki Bella, get some, outside eyes on the product, and then go from there. And then 2 big matchups between John Cena and Logan Paul. This is one of those matches where, hey, you want to have this match with John Cena before he retires. He's on this retirement run. I think it's 10 more appearances, including tonight. There's going to be a viral moment in that match. So Logan Paul is going to jump off of somewhere and jump on John Cena, and it's going to go on TikTok, and there'll be 10 million views on it all over the social media platforms. And then Roman Reigns against Bronson Reed. This is a big step up in competition for Bronson Reed. Could he rise to the challenge and face off with a guy like Roman Reigns? He could. We shall see. Also going on this weekend, some action on the hardcourt. Tennis. We have some U.S. Open action. This is a good match that's starting today at 1:45 right now. Jessica Pegula against Victoria Azarenka. I like that. 4th-ranked Pegula, the American, against Vika. Francis Tiafoe, our guy, at 3 o'clock today, takes on Struff. Emily Navarro takes on Krejcikova at 5 o'clock. Ben Shelton underway right now against Manarino. It's 1-1 in the first set there. Let's see what else we got. Come on, people. Give me some schedule here. These guys are a pain in the ass sometimes. Yannick Sinner, the winner last year. You guys don't make it easy, do you? I'm trying to do the schedule here, and they're not letting me, guys. All right, here we go. Men's singles today. Any other big matchups? 8 tonight, 7 o'clock. That's the big match tonight. Novak Djokovic against Cam Norrie, the Brit, number 7th ranked Novak. Let's see if he can win. I was going to put some money on him winning, especially after Carlos Alcaraz won today, 6-2, 6-4, 6-love. But Djokovic, I think was the 3rd highest favorite behind Sinner and Alcaraz, if I'm not mistaken. So that might not be a bad guy to put some pennies on. Taylor Fritz at 8:30, the American. And then on the women's side for today, I gave you some of the number 1 seed Arena Sabalenka against Leylah Fernandez at 7 o'clock. That's going to be a really good matchup. And then Taylor Townsend, who's been in the news because of her little dust up at the net yesterday or the day before yesterday. She takes on 5th seed, the Russian Mira Andreeva. So, yeah, we're always pulling for our Americans. That is for sure. So good luck at the U.S. Open. Growing up. Darren Till against Luke Rockhold tomorrow. There you go. Some boxing action. Let's get into the top 10 teams of all time. Top 10 teams. Top 10 players of all time for our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The list was revealed last night. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but listen, if you're the Buccaneers, I don't think that they haven't done anything wrong. It's amazing. This top 50, not even just a list, the 50, celebrating the 50 years for the Buccaneers, crushing it. Such a good job. They're honoring all these players, past and present. Number 10 player in Buccaneers history was Mike Allstott. The A-Train. You want to talk about setting the tone. This is what he was able to do. And I remember because the majority of the time that he played for the Bucs, I was living in New York, but he was that guy that you always associated with the Bucs because of how he played and what he was able to do, where he would just run over guys. And if you don't watch a guy all the time, you only see him through highlights. And the highlights that he was able to put out there was something that endeared to you as just a casual Buccaneers fan or just a sports fan in general, because the way he ran, the force that he ran with, just incredible to see what he was able to do. And I remember I think it was NFL Streets or NFL Blitz, one of those games, not Madden. And Mike Allstott was on that game, and he just trucked dudes. He would run them over. You would always pick Mike Allstott. Number 9, a guy that's on the team right now, and that's Tristan Wirfs. 5 years into his career, the only player in history to win an All-Pro at right tackle and then an All-Pro at left tackle. It's kind of hard to believe that he was the 4th tackle drafted in the 2020 draft, behind Andrew Thomas, behind Jedrick Wills, behind Mekhi Becton. The Buccaneers, they got lucky there, buddy. They really did. And he has been a cornerstone of this franchise. And we were wondering, when Donovan Smith was at left tackle, could Tristan Wirfs go from right to left? And I know there was a lot of people there that were wondering, hey, you don't want to mess with a good thing. He's already a Pro Bowler at right tackle. Don't be so quick to move him over to the left side, right? Well, you move him over to the left side, and then bada bing, bada boom, real guy in the room. He might be even better on the left side than he was on the right, protecting Baker Mayfield's blind side. And some of the news that we've heard, and we know that we heard yesterday that Jason Light was on with our pal T-Kraz saying that Chris Godwin, possibly sometime in October, but they expect Tristan Wirfs to be back before Chris Godwin. So some good news. Very happy that those guys aren't going to be out for a very long time. But Tristan Wirfs, a great player on the field and even better human being off of it. This was the guy here that I didn't know where he was going to be. And that is the guy that came in at number 8, and that's Tom Brady. When you look at Tom, you know what his career is like. And it's kind of tough to be able to take out what he was able to do for the Buccaneers or take out what he did for the Patriots and then apply that for what he did here. Because you're talking about the top 50 Buccaneers for what they did here, right? There's also a greatness. So there's some intangibles to it. What Tom Brady did is still being felt today from just the focus and, obviously the attention nationally. How much money the franchise doubled in their value over the years that he was here. But I just look at how Levante David and Mike Evans and Tristan and Antoine, all the guys that were here with Brady, carried his professionalism now 3 years after he left, right? That's an incredible impact. And then, of course, he won a Super Bowl in his first freaking year here. I don't know if I've ever seen the team handle a post superstar, like part of the, post superstar era better than the Bucs did with Tom Brady. I mean, it's amazing what they've been able to do. And that's because you have strong leadership. Jason Light, Todd Bowles, and the whole crew. I love it. I love it. So where was he going to fall? I mean, top 10, I got no issue with that. I find it tough to put him over the guys that are like top tier Hall of Famers, guys that spent the majority, if not their whole career here. So I think 8's probably a good spot. Number 7, Lavonte David. He is going to be the third guy to play 14 or more years with the Buccaneers when he suits up for them in 2025. A Buccaneer for life. He's got over 1,600 career tackles. This is one of the most underrated players probably in the history of the NFL. And you look at what he's been able to do, how consistent he has been. Interceptions, sacks, just a great dude, so humble. I mean, KJ Britt was like in tears last year. And one of the big things he said at the end of his tenure with the Buccaneers was how special it was for him to play with Lavonte David. I can't say enough nice things about him. One of the greatest Buccaneers ever of all time, no doubt about it. I like it at number 7. Now it's kind of like, all right, you know what the last 6 are going to look like. Where do you have them? And I had Lynch at number 6 as well. Okay. He had some of the biggest plays in Buccaneer history. He always made, you're talking about a 9-time Pro Bowler, first team All-Pro in 99 and 2000, second team in 2001, 2002, and just the ultimate, like clean it up, baby. Something happened and they were somehow, some way were able to get past, the front 7. Like John Lynch was always there. And I think he's in a good spot at number 6. Number 5, Rondé Barber. And we know what Rondé has done on the field, off the field. It seemed like he played forever. He played with Lavonte, which is kind of wild. But he's around. He is a Tampa Bay legend. We know what he does with Tracy West and the Copperheads and how important he is to the Valspar. I can't say enough nice things about Rondé Barber. He comes in at number 5. Number 4, Mike Evans. And I know a lot of the guys are looking at him as, he's the best Buccaneer of all time. Certainly the best Buccaneer of this generation, of this group. The greatest offensive player in Tampa Bay Buccaneer history. What he's been able to do, as consistent as he's been, 1,000 yards for 11 seasons. And throughout the entire time of training camp this year, dude was the best guy out there. He's the man. And again, the Mike Evans Family Foundation, what he does off the field, not just here in Tampa, but also in his hometown of Galveston, Texas. It's going to be a sad day when he's not suiting up for the Buccaneers anymore. At number 3, this is kind of like a preference type of thing. I think when you look at Warren Sapp, I don't know many D tackles that I would take over him. A tone setter. You need that dog. You need that guy that's rough around the edges. You need a guy that's going to be skipping through the warm-ups of the other team. They're not all going to be choir boys. You need somebody that's going to set the tone. You need somebody that's going to say the things that maybe somebody else doesn't have the balls to say. Warren's Warren. He really is. And I've been so happy to be able to have some unique moments with him over the years. Spending time with him. There's nobody I've ever met like Warren Sapp. He is one of one. Just show the guys some respect when you go up to him saying some weird shit like I've seen in the past. Number 2, Leroy Selman. And to me, I had number 1 and 2 switched just because I look at what Leroy has done for our community. And also, like, he was the first guy. He paved the way for the rest. But a mountain of a man who was a nasty football player, but a gentle giant off the field. And a guy whose legacy, I mean, it's hard to argue that there's going to be an athlete that is going to have a more impactful legacy than Leroy Selman. I see this all the time. The expressway is named after him. You're driving on the Selman all the time. Like, driving on the Selman is something that we say all the time. But you can't go wrong with Derek Brooks at number 1. Double nickel. I mean, just look at his statistics, what he did in the Super Bowl, and how he is a guy that is still so seen, whether it's USF, whether it's the Lightning. It doesn't matter what's going on. Derek Brooks is out there in the community. He's shaking hands. He's kissing babies. I'm sure he learned that from a guy like Leroy Selman. So I think we're very grateful to have so many great players. As I take off this hard hat, our good friend Jordan Listro is going to join us here in a bit. I mean, we're so lucky to be able to have people at the top of those lists that aren't just good athletes, but also great people. The impact that they've been able to have on our community, the way that they treat people. I mean, again, like I said before, treat people the way you want to be treated. Don't do something to somebody else you wouldn't want done to yourself. A lot of these great, lessons that you learn over the years. I mean, these guys, they didn't just talk the talk, they walked the walk as well. And when you're a champion on the field too, and you bring those type of memories that fans in the Tampa Bay area won't soon forget, I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. So I think the Buccaneers did a fantastic job on this list. You're going to have your disagreements, and you're going to have guys and our guy Beckles. Thank God he took off that silly ass hat. I got a hard hat as a gift. All right. So don't blame me. I was having a little fun on the program today. But when you speak about champions, right? When you speak about people that are leaving legacies in the Tampa Bay area, we're going to have to talk about our next guest as well. The one and only, the captain of our Tampa Bay Sun, Jordyn Listro in the house. The champ is here. What's going on, champ? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am wonderful. I know the new season has already started, but I mean, do you still have memories of the boat parade and winning the championship? Because it's still fresh in a lot of people's minds.
Of course. I mean, the off season was so short. And yeah, that boat parade was a lot of fun. So we're just hoping to go back to back this season. I already want those playoff games to happen already, and we just started.
Yeah, I mean, so what was you just mentioned it was a short off season. So how quickly did you kind of turn off from last year to, the last season to this season? Did you give yourself any time off, any vacation? Like, how do you do that? How do you find that balance?
Yeah, it was interesting because I've never had this short of an off season. So you kind of want to map it out correctly so that you're still in form when you go into preseason. You don't take too much time off, but you also need to rest because we've been playing games back to back to back. So I took the week of celebrations off completely and just enjoyed myself and my teammates and celebrating with the city of Tampa. And then the week after, I went on a little vacation with one of my best friends, and then got back to work and started training again. So
when you close your eyes and you think about that final whistle in that game, what are some of the memories that are in your head?
I actually watched it back this week because I hadn't I hadn't watched the game at all, honestly. It was such a blur for me, and I felt like a lot of my teammates felt the same way. In game, we were all staring at each other like, is this real? I don't know. It was a very weird vibe throughout the game, just because obviously there's so many emotions that are in it at that point. But I watched it back, and I just had goosebumps. It was such a fun experience. There were so many fans there, and it's a moment I'll never forget.
We've talked about this a lot. I mean, very early on when we first met about, there'll only be one Jordyn Listro. There'll only be one of the, you're going to be the standard bearer when it comes to the Tampa Bay Sun, when it comes to the creation. Like, people will always remember you, but especially winning a championship, that puts that gold stamp on the season of there's only going to be one first champion, but there's only going to be one first captain of that championship team. What was it like to be wearing the captain's armband and to be able to be on that championship winning team?
Yeah, it's such an honor and something that I never take lightly. I just watch myself grab the trophy and then bring it to my team when I watched the game back the other day. And it's just so special. This community I've spoke about so many times just means so much to me. This city means so much to me. To be able to do it with my college coach, I couldn't have pictured it any different. And we had a great group of girls. We worked really, really hard, and we didn't see the results we wanted at the start of the season, but it worked out for us in the end, and just so happy that we got to lift that trophy.
You mentioned Coach Denise Schulte-Brown. Did she change at all from USF to the Sun now that you played one full season? Was the message the same? What was it about her that she was able to put you guys in a position to win it all?
I think she's just a great leader in all aspects, on the field, off the field. Like, she always empowers us and gives us confidence. And that's so important. Every time we step on the field, like, I just know that, I can be free and play like myself. And if things go wrong, she's going to help me figure it out. So to be able to play for a coach that believes in you is just so different. And yeah, I think she really values team culture and team chemistry. So you can see the activities that she did with us at USF kind of run into the Sun as well. And I think they work and they're beneficial. And yeah, when you win a championship, I mean, all those things play into it.
And of course, we're coming off of a big USF win last night against Boise State. How did that feel to be able? I mean, top 25 win. It's a pretty big deal.
Yes, I'm always supporting my Bulls, so it was nice to see that W for sure.
How cool is it to be able to look at the campus and see how much it's changed? Because I saw you at one of the games, I think, last year. And I mean, even in just the 10 years I've been covering sports here and 20 years I've lived here, I mean, the campus has changed so much. How crazy is that to see the growth over the years?
Yeah, I was saying that to my family yesterday. Actually, I was on campus for an appointment, and I just walked around, where my dorms were, and there's just so many things that are there that weren't there before, and just different food places, and just to see the development is really exciting. And then a football stadium on campus in the next couple of years is going to completely change your experience as a student and as a student athlete.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, so as in preparation for this second season, what was the main focus from coach and from you as one of the leaders on the team? Because it's last year's last year, right? So how do you kind of put that all behind you and start fresh and start anew and have a completely different mindset? Do you think about, hey, we got to defend our title, or do you just look at this as a completely new experience?
I think a little bit of both. We have the foundation now, and I think that's really important. The core group of players is returning. So we have certain standards, and we have a routine that we're just going to keep doing because it worked. And then you integrate those new players. We do have a lot of new players, a lot of younger ones. So, getting them up to speed, allowing them to understand our team tactics, get familiar with them on and off the field. Yeah, I would say it's a mix of both.
Mm-hmm. Is it more mental when you're dealing with younger players and they're coming in and you try to incorporate them into, there's a championship mindset now? Is it the mental that takes a little bit longer or the physical?
I would say both again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the mental part of it for sure. Just making sure that every practice, everyone's locked in to the tactics and to the intensity of the training session. Because, I am a huge believer that what you do on the training field directly relates to how well you play in the games. So just keeping those standards, making sure everything is sharp and done well. And then, the mental side of it too is just competing every single week. When you're coming from college, you have 2 games a week, but the season is only a couple months long. Like the reality of professional soccer is it is such a long season. So much can change and you have to be able to adapt.
What about your game when you go into this season? Is there something that you need to change? Has your role changed? Like as you go into 2025/2026, what's the focus for you as an individual?
I think for me, I do want to just get into the attacking side a little more.
Okay. You got a little taste of the goal last year, didn't you? So
yeah, I've said before, I think I can contribute a little bit more to that side. I've just always been so defensive minded, and the teams I've played for before kind of liked that side of me, but I'm able to do both, and I want to show I can do both. So a little bit of that, and then probably just trying to give these younger new players confidence and just, want to play here and want to compete and allow them to play their best. So that leadership role, I always try and focus on.
I want to ask you about something because this team right here gives me a lot of heartache. They drive me crazy. They lost to a 4th division team on Wednesday, and I almost kicked a hole in my wall. But there's a lot of talk because Ruben Amorim plays 3 in the back instead of 4 in the back. And everybody says it's about formation. It's about this. It's about that. Everybody's got their expertise of why, this is why it's not working. And then there was something I heard yesterday from Ryan Giggs, who played for them for many years. And he goes, at one point, at certain points, it's not about the formation. It's about the players. You got to go out there and you got to do it. how important is the formation as far as a success for a team? And how is it more that? Is it the mentality, the players individually? Like, where's the kind of percentage? Is it like 60% formation, 40% mentality? Like, from your experience and playing on the teams that you've played on, is it more important to have a great mentality and players to be able to do their job, or is it to be set up the right way?
I would say both. I would say probably 60% mentality, 40%
Okay.
tactics. I mean, you saw it on the weekend. Brooklyn's a team that is just going to run through a wall for each other, and they're very aggressive. They're very direct. It's very hard to play against them just because they have the mentality of like, they're just going to work really hard and hit hard, and it challenges us. But I do think tactics play a big role in it as well. I think when too much is thrown at you, especially as a new player, it's hard to do your role because you're thinking of so many things, and obviously trying to please our coaching staff, trying to please the players around you, that you kind of lose sight of what you're actually good at. So yeah, I think when everything's clear, concise, then people are able to obviously do the role that they're asked to do, but then bring in their own creativity and what, makes them special. So
Because you hear a lot about express yourself, right? I think you hear that more in soccer/football than any other sport. Like, you want players to be able to go out there and express themselves. When can you speak on that? Like, and especially as some people talk like express yourself, and in my mindset, it's like, oh yeah, do a bunch of step overs and be like offensively. But like, how do you express yourself when you're not the biggest offensive person like yourself? If you play a little bit more, maybe in a 6 role, and you're playing, how do you express yourself in that way when you're not, a poacher? You're a person that's at the top end of the pitch all the time.
I think for me, it's just not questioning like when to go and try and intercept the ball and when to just stay. I think when my instincts take over and I read the play and I know when to step in and win the ball, that's kind of when I'm playing free. So just going with your instincts. And that's one thing that I pride myself in, is trying to win every tackle or trying to intercept those passes. But when you have too much stuff in your head and when you're thinking too much about where you're supposed to be on the field, it doesn't allow you to do that. So for me, playing free is just trusting my instincts and stepping and intercepting the ball when I feel I can get there.
Sydney Nasello, another former USF standout. I remember watching her at South Florida when she was added to your team last year. It seemed like she kind of balanced the team out a little bit. She's so freaking aggressive, not the biggest girl out there, and she's just got like a no prisoners attitude. What does she bring to the table, your fellow green and gold compatriot there?
She is just incredible at 1v1 attacking. I mean, I have not seen somebody be able to dribble at the speed she dribbles at and with the creativity that she has. So she is a constant threat on the wing and is able to provide services and then goals herself. But we know that when we get her the ball and she's taking someone 1v1, she's 99.9% chance that she can beat that player and do something with the ball. So yeah, she's a great player to play with. We always joke because we sometimes like run into each other on the field because I'm like, Nasello, I don't know what you're doing. And she's just she likes to play free and kind of do her own thing. So sometimes I get in the way of her and I'm like, okay, we got to figure this out. But we always joke about it.
Erica Timrack is somebody that, we met when we first met. You and Erica came into the studio at DAE, and I know that she is now retired. But I know how much the team meant to her. What was it like to be able to play with her, and just your favorite kind of memories of her being part of this is a journey like this, forget about your career, like part of your life. Like you and her were like, here you go. They push you to the forefront. Like you guys are going to be the face of this team. What was it like to be able to kind of share that experience with her and to kind of see her towards the end of her career?
Yeah, it was special. We got to play with each other in Orlando, and when we were at Orlando, we both love the city of Tampa. She's from Sarasota. I went to school here in Tampa. So when we heard that the team was coming, we kind of both joked around about it. Like, oh, what if we end up there? Like, that would be so fun. And then, a year later, we're the first signings of the team. So it was special and still surreal, honestly. But one thing about her that I think is just different is she's able to like separate herself from the sport and make it feel like it's not so serious. I mean, she's always like dancing, joking around and grounding herself. And she's able to teach younger players on our team and even myself that like it's not the end all and be all. There's more to this life, and you can enjoy like the little things within the sport that aren't actually on the field. So that was important for me to learn, and that's just something that I'll remember from her always.
It is tough, right? To find that balance. And I felt like that in my career is, how do you put in the effort needed to be at or near the top of your profession, but not let what you do define who you are, right? And I think having that balance, that kind of work-life balance is important to happiness. I mean, we only live once. So what have you been doing then to like find that balance? Like, I know you're not a big TV person, but like, what's the new thing Jordan Listro has been doing the last couple of months outside the soccer life?
Oh my gosh. I feel like it's just gone so fast that I haven't really had any time. Like I get home and I'm like ready to just relax. But I have been watching my husband play golf.
How's he doing? So how's he been doing?
Yeah, he's been doing pretty well. He had a top 10 finish last weekend, which was nice. Not playing great this weekend, but that's okay. It's golf. But yeah, I've been doing that. And then again, like I've touched on before, I just have friends from college that live here. So it's nice to just catch up with them, every week and do lunch or dinner. Yeah, just spend time away from soccer field.
I don't know if I've asked you this. Maybe I have. Do you golf at all now, or do you get out there?
It's been 8 years of us together, and I can say I can hit the ball consistently. So
yeah, okay.
Oh, I can't.
Oh, you can't.
Hopefully that gives you your answer. I am a better caddy than I am player, but I think post soccer maybe I'll get into it more. It doesn't come natural to me, and it's so frustrating that I don't want to.
Oh my gosh. You're just like, screw that. No, I'm not going to Top Golf. I'll sit on the side. You'll drive the golf cart, right? Sip on, and just kind of chill out there and do your thing. Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible impact that you've had on our Tampa Bay area. It's just so damn cool to be able to see what you and the Sun have done. All right, just tell us about the mindset going into this weekend before I let you go. You want to get back, obviously, to your winning ways, and it's going to be really cool to be able to get back in front of the home fans, isn't it?
Yeah, we love playing at home, and our home record speaks for itself from last season. It's just amazing having our fans there, and it gives us the extra boost that we need. So yeah, it's a new team in Jacksonville. We don't know much about them again. So we're just preparing to the best of our abilities, focusing on ourselves, and ready to get those 3 points.
Yeah, and I know you're trying to get up higher on the pitch. Get up there, tell Nocello to get the heck out of the way, get back on the wing, let you get in there right on those headers, the second balls.
Yeah, second balls.
Second balls. That's going to be the key for the midfielders there. Tampa Bay Sun FC.com got all the information on there. You want to know how you can get tickets? Head on over there. 8:00 Saturday night, Riverfront Stadium against Sporting Club Jacksonville, the new team right there in the USL Super League. Jordan, always great to catch up. Thank you so much for your time. So proud of you and the entire team. Kick some ass this weekend. Find the back of the net, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, great stuff. Jordyn Listro, the captain of our Tampa Bay Sun. She is all over it. And again, you'll always remember her first signing, one of the first signings of our Tampa Bay Sun FC, the champions of the USL Super League. All right, that's going to wrap it up for me. I told you it's going to be a little bit more of an extended show today. I love you all. Thank you all so much for the support, especially our guy, David Terry, down there in the DR, contributing via the Super Chat. Again, whatever you can do to contribute, 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, whatever you can do to contribute to the program. I certainly appreciate it. Big thank you to our guy, Honest Hammer. And if Ian's still watching, he's probably not. Here's my hat, baby. Hard hat time. I feel like this. It's like... it's what is that? Men Down Under. There you go. There you go. It feels good though. It does feel good. Big thank you to Jordyn Listro, Seth Varnador, and Steve Carney for joining us on the program today, baby. I am not on Monday. Monday is Labor Day. I will not be on. I'm taking the day off. Everybody's going to be off anyway, so I will not be on Monday. Enjoy the Labor Day. We'll be back on Tuesday. And getting ready to preview the Buccaneers season opener against the Falcons there in Atlanta. Friday, we'll see about where I'm going to be doing the show, because I'm actually going to be coaching this next weekend. Now, next weekend in West Palm Beach. So we will go from there. Follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I'm everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for all of your love and support. Go freaking Bulls. What a performance again last night from USF. I love it, man. I'm just so happy for Alex Golesh, Byron Brown, and the entire crew, and all of you out there in Bulls Nation. You've been through a lot of tough times, and to be able to be in the building for that last night was very special. And I didn't mention this on the show, but I'll mention it now. Our good pal Joey Knight from the Tampa Bay Times, 36 days after one of his surgeries for cancer, he's in the building last night, and he's been there at Raymond James Stadium for a lot of rough games, a lot of big-time losses, and he was there last night and be able to enjoy that. And Coach Alex Golesh even said something to him yesterday, like, hey, Joey, it's really good to see you. Yeah, that was a very special moment. I'm very glad that Joey was able to be there. All right, I love you all. Everybody have a safe, a happy, a healthy Labor Day weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday at noon right here on the Jay Recher Podcast. I'm gone. Peace out.